that step. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. Hope everyone's having a fabulous Wednesday night. In the chat, who do we got? Dr. Wilson Magic, Fintime, Robert's Reef, Juraticate, Bubba Shinobi, and Steve. What is going on, guys? Welcome. Sean, welcome, Sean. I don't know if any of you guys saw my notice in the Facebook group, but I'm going to try using Discord today for the chat. So I did post the link to it in the ReefDudes Facebook group. So if you guys feel like doing the voice chat, you can hop in there and check it out. Dion, what's going on, Dion? What's going on, Jimmy? Civics Reef, Belgium. Well, good evening from Belgium. Welcome back from Canada. What's going on, Mr. Rico? So yeah, if you guys want to join, check out the ReefDudes Facebook page, and there is the voice chat in there. So hopefully that works. So bit of an experiment today. Yidiki, Dano's Reef, welcome. So today I kind of want to talk about a couple things around maintenance and test kits, because I know a lot of people will, they'll clean their pumps once in a while and stuff, but they don't necessarily clean your test kits and some of that other stuff, and that could be throwing off your readings. So I figured that was kind of a good one to touch base on. Denon, what's going on? Dr. Welsh, Nico, welcome to the live stream. Got Bubba. So, with test kits, a lot of you guys, what's going on, Michael? Fabulous is right. It mainly comes into play when you're using like Hannah and the digital checkers. So using them, obviously, it's a lot easier because you don't have to match colors. You got a little device to do it for you. But the thing is, these little test kits, if you're not cleaning them or they're getting foggy, there's fingerprints, any type of stuff, it's going to mess with your readings. Now, the whole accuracy versus precision thing kind of also comes into play. So, I mean, if it's consistently dirty, you're consistently reading the same thing. But, you might be reading, 8 when maybe it's really only 7, and that cloudiness or that haze could be messing with it. What's going on, SC Reefer? So one thing, so a lot of people don't really know how to clean these or how they should be cleaning them. I've heard some people in the dishwasher. It's at least the start of it's gonna be related to maintenance. Yep. So on that note, with these guys, so a couple ways to clean it. Citric acid's one that I've seen used a lot. Vinegar and water has always been my go-to, just because you can go buy like a gallon of it at the dollar store for like $1 or $2. Like it's way cheaper than buying stuff. And it goes a long way. Like, I'll literally take one that looks all, like, gunked up, and it'll come out, like, sparkling crystal clear. Like, look how dirty that one is. Like, using this guy would probably completely mess my readings. My general go-to, I'll just, like, rinse it in RO/DI water after, which helps, or just even tap water sometimes. But you do get the little spots on once in a while. What's going on, Haley? Welcome, welcome. So, yeah, citric acid or vinegar and water. 100% vinegar water. I prefer a 50-50 mix. That's the same thing I generally use on cleaning. Let's turn the volume down a bit. And I generally use that on my, whatchamacallit as well. Power heads, pumps, any of the type of stuff. You'll eat that coralline algae, like throw in there for half an hour or so, and it makes a huge difference. That definitely helps. As for test kits, I've got a lot of questions on test kits the last little while. Follow it is yours. Okay, quick question. So George in the chat, I have a question for you. I have a question. No one is more of a request if you could do a follow-up video on your Red Sea Nano tank, more about your life rock. I have a Nano and I like your livestock. All right, I actually did just post one on that on Monday on the livestock. Mike, I'll do a more detailed one next update. I'll try and get some clips of all the little creatures in there and see if I can do a more detailed one on it, and hopefully that will help answer a bit more. So Denon, I use tap water and I purchased my glasses with a cloth wipe. Cloth wipes actually do work fairly well. Another one I've actually used in the past that works well, I think they're called mobile cloths. They're for cleaning cell phone screens and whatnot. And those actually work really well. What's going on, Cruz? What's going on, Dave's Nanotanks? So those work actually really well for cleaning the outside. Anyone know how to get rid of dino flagellates? I've never had dino, but let me take a quick peek for you. Actually, we will go into this one in a few minutes, because I actually, just for fun, when I was in a LFS the other day, they had a big book by Julian Strong on different types of algae. Haven't read it yet, but we'll take a look in a few minutes here. How do I feel about the API test kits? I used to use them in my freshwater days. I haven't used the API test kits in saltwater. When I very first started, I had all the basic ones, and once I transitioned over, and I did have those. I also tried a bunch of different brands, but over the years, I found some of them are harder to read and other little issues, so I use Red Sea and Hannah are my go-tos. What's going on, crews? What's going on, daily reefing? So here's the main ones for the Red Sea kit. So you got your K8, NH3, NH4, NO3, NO2, pH, KH. So this is kind of your basic starting a tank and your alkalinity. The main one, coral colors. I do these once in a while. I am dosing, use it to just check my trace elements, make sure they're in check. And I have the foundation kit. Now, anyone starting out in the hobby, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, this is by far your best bang for buck out of all the kits that I've used. Mainly, like, it's a fairly high quality kit, it's easy to read, and the refills are cheap, and that's a big thing, because I also have a bunch of the Hannah kits, right? And like alkalinity is not bad, but calcium is freaking expensive to replace for refills. That's the thing that drives me nuts with it. Another question I get asked a lot is which test kits do I use for what? So phosphate checker, I 100% use Hannah because it's hard to read it. Like, it's green. So I 100% use the Hannah phosphate checker because I've tried all the manual ones. I get them all away. The subtle colors of blue are so hard to tell by eye. So to me, that's a tricky one. Calcified residue. So just screen on the chat. RODI, cleaning microfiber cloth, dust free. Yep. Just your OCD. That's good though. Seriously, keeping them nice and shiny and everything goes a long way. Ruben just subscribed. Ruben, if you're in the chat, welcome and thank you. Calcium kit. It's a great kit from Hannah. However, the kits are expensive. Nishivin just subscribed as well. Nishin, welcome if you're in the chat. Welcome to the channel. Much appreciated. Always good to have you guys here. So, okay. If anyone is going to splurge on one of the Hannah kits, alkalinity kit, 100%. It's reasonable price for the refills. And it's really quick and easy. You get your digital readout right away, which is very, very nice. I do that one all the time. So SC Reefer, how often do you test? I test my tank, I'm going to say it depends. If I just started dosing or I'm changing something, I will test daily for that first little period. So if I change something on my dosing, I'll test it. I'll wait 24 hours. I'll test again. I don't know how you haven't subbed. Well, welcome, Nishivin. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I apologize if not, but welcome. Always good to have you, buddy. Is there a Hannah calcium? Yes, there is. Now, a couple notes on this one. So the Hannah calcium is the red kit. And I only test this one, not as often, and it's honestly just because I find the refills really expensive. So this is the Hannah calcium. On the old kit, you have to measure, I think, 0.1 of a mil of tank water, and it's very precise. If you throw that off, it is going to mess with it a little bit. If you do the newer ones, I believe they have a little doser that auto-doses the 0.1 of a mil, and that makes a huge difference. I don't have it. Probably would be good to get one of these days, but it makes it a lot accurate. And you're using 14, I think it's 14 mils of RODI water to 1 mil of tank water, so that's kind of the things. Infamous Aquatics, what is up, Fish Tank Ninja? Welcome, buddy. Haley, thank you very much. If you guys are enjoying this, always hit that like button. It helps support the channel and makes me happy. Thank you. Okay, if you are starting out and you do not have any test kits, Red Sea Foundations, best bang for your buck by far. And they're a fairly high test kit. They got the little dosers and everything, so it is a good one. Like, I use this one for calcium once a time. I'll use the Hannah one like once a month. This is a double check. But by far, biggest bang for your buck. Now, another trick that I do for cleaning test kits is using an ultrasonic cleaner. So I actually originally bought this because I have a little airbrush, and I bought it to clean my airbrush. However, this works great for cleaning those little vials, especially if you're trying to get inside of them. So I'll take this and I'll use just a bit of vinegar and water, and it does awesome job of making these guys come out like sparkling, looking like new. So that's another thing you pick up. I think this was like $20 off Amazon, $25, something like that. So it works really well. RODI water works with yours, Hannah calcium checker. Yes, you have to use RODI water, and it's mainly RODI with a little bit of tank water. So you need to have RODI, or the kit's just going to be useless for you. So definitely something to consider. So yeah, Denon for sure. Who's jumping in the chat today? So yeah, if anybody wants to join, let me just grab that Discord link. Instant invite. Copy. All right. So if anyone has Discord, that link should hopefully connect you. If it doesn't, let me know. First, I'm using Discord today, so it's all new to me, and I'm also using a new streaming software, so completely all new, completely experimental, but so far nothing's broken. Yes, which is promising. So if anyone wants, feel free to jump into the chat, and it's just voice chat right now, no video. I think this one just does audio, but with Hangouts dropping out lots, I figured we'll give this one a whirl. So just gonna scroll back up for the couple questions that I missed. Red Sea Kit. Red Sea Kit is awesome for my friend at Roscoe's Reef. Yep, no, Red Sea Kit is awesome. I mean, you can't beat it for the price for all three, and refills are cheap too. So if you average it out over like refills and long term, it's your best bang for a buck. Usually vinegar, calcified, RODI for general cleaning. Yeah, definitely agree with that one. So question for you. So you asked for more of a follow-up on the Nano tank. Okay, so just kind of a quick overview on that one. I have super cool fish, but I'm a little bit disappointed because I never actually see him. But he is a spikefin goby. And he's super cool fish, but he's very elusive. You only see him pop out once in a while. That's my only complaint about him. Sounds and looks good. Thanks so much, Dave. Dan's Reef Cube. Thank you for subscribing, buddy. Welcome to the channel. So yeah, very, very awesome little fish. I did post like a quick little clip, I think, on Instagram last week when he's out, but I only see him once every few days. He's very elusive, but really cool when you see him. So I hope eventually he'll get used to it and be out more. I have a McCormick's Flasher Wrasse, very pretty fish. Test kits aren't cheap. Yeah, the Hannah ones aren't cheap. Red Sea's not bad for the whole kit, to be honest. It's probably about the same price or less than one Hannah. So something to consider if you don't mind reading it. What else do I got in there? I got 2 blue stripe or streak pipefish. Very, very cool fish. I got a pair of them, which is really neat to kind of see how they interact. They're always together, but those are awesome guys. And I picked up not Hector's, Court Chester goby, Randall's goby, yeah, whatever one he is. But yeah, super cool goby. Got him, super tiny little guy. So those are my latest ones. Algae book time. Yes, we can talk about algae in a few minutes. I actually planned on actually fully reading this and doing it, but this is Julian Sprung's new book. It was at the store, the other day, so I figured I'd grab it. I like a lot of Julian stuff. He's a very fascinating, smart guy, so it talks about all the different types of algae and what to do about them, so I always get questions, so I figured great one to pick up. McCormack or McCoskers? Don't think I've heard of those. Here, let me just quickly check Live Aquaria. Flasher Wrasse. Discord link isn't working for me. It may be because of the YouTube chat. I think it's McCoskers Flasher Wrasse. I believe that's the proper name. Here, let me try one more of those Discord links. See if this works, and it may be due to the YouTube redirect thing. So let me try copying it, and then try pasting a different one. We'll see if this one works. Okay, so try that. Try the bit.ly link for Discord. It's probably the YouTube thing messing with it. So the book is Algae, A Problem Solver Guide. So that's the book. I haven't read it yet, so I can't 100% say recommend or anything yet. I plan on reading over the next week or so, just because, I don't know. It's Julian stuff's always interesting, so I'm sure it's good. But I'll probably read it. Maybe I'll do a live stream digging stuff more on algae in the next little bit. So Neil, you're saying you use Saltwater test kits. Nice and cheap if you suffer from testing OCD. So do you test daily? Some of the Saltwater kits, they did work well, but at least I think I only had one. I think it was only the phosphate one, but I found it really hard to distinguish between the colors. I mean, that just might be me, but the blues were so subtle, the differences. That's the only one I'd say. I had one a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, my 6 line... Oh, that's too bad. Sorry to hear about that one. Just directing you to download. Oh, okay. Well, I do think there is a couple people in there hiding on mute right now, but if anyone does it, I don't know if there's another way to invite it, but we can try that if you guys want to try and join. There is the link on the Facebook page as well, and someone did join through there. So if you guys aren't in there, facebook.com/group/ReefDudes, and it's on there, because it very well might just be the YouTube redirect messing with it. So, okay, try that one if it doesn't work. Yeah, you probably have to have the program for it to install. There is kind of a weird web browser version, and I know they do have a cell phone app as well. I installed it today just to try it out, but so far. But overall, I've been digging it. I already have it. Weird. Yeah, not too sure. I don't know if I can invite you if I know your username on there, possibly. So as for testing wise, yeah, ultrasonic cleaner. The other thing around maintenance that a lot of people don't always do is cleaning your power heads and your return pump. Those I try and clean maybe, I'm going to say every 4 months I shoot for, 4 to 6 months range. Make those dosing containers holders available, yes. So, okay. On the dosing containers, so I have a 3D printer. I made an attachment to do a laser on there because I was going to try and laser cut some stuff. So I need to turn it back into 3D printer mode. I've had so many people ask me. I'm for sure going to make one, and I'm going to use it for a future giveaway. So I am going to give one away, and then I may make 1 or 2 others to trade or sell or anything. Yeah, Dave, so that link, it takes you to... You have to have Discord installed. Just opens Discord. Alright, what's going on, CJ? Okay, so let's just see. Do I have an easier way to do this? Voice channel. Clone channel, create voice channel. Instant invite. Hey, Dave, just out of curiosity, try the link in the Facebook page and see if that works for you. May work. Hopefully. Reefing with... Oh, what's going on, Seymour? Seymour, if you want to join, you already had Discord. I think I already invited you. So you should have easy access if you feel like joining on there. On the voice chat. May go back to Hangouts next week, but I figure it's worth a try this week to see what happens. You have it? Okay. Excelente. The other thing... my printer is waiting. Yeah, still need the STL. Ah! I have to remake the STL. My computer died, and I built a new one. So, hello from Kelowna. Dwight! Welcome, my fellow Colonian. Colonian word? Yeah, we'll go with it. So welcome. So, DJ's Reef. Reefer G's. What's going on, guys? You have the server on the left. Click on it and go to the channel. There you go. Reefer G's actually uses Discord. I am completely brand new to it. First time ever using it today. So, as for cleaning. So, vinegar and water. All the time I get asked what ratio do I use. So, 50-50. So, 50% vinegar, 50% water. It literally cleans absolutely anything, like citric acids. A lot of people say that. By the way, thanks loads for introducing me to Google SketchUp. It has been a lifesaver. Oh, so easy for planning. I made my whole tank in it, sump, everything. I use that for planning. It works great. Are you going to do any testing on the Hana Calcium? I have it and I do it. If you have any specific questions on it, let me know. Reefer Road, hello from Vernon. Ah, welcome. You guys are nice and close to me. Welcome, welcome. Do you have a 4-digit code? 4-digit code for what? Not sure what you mean on that one, SC. But if you do, let me know. We'll figure it out. So yeah, vinegar and water, 100% easiest, cheapest way to clean stuff. Pretty much everybody already has it. So that's a really good way to do it. What's going on, Fernando? Power heads. Try those things. 4 to 6 months you can click into there. I see. Reefing with O just joined the voice chat. You're in general. I think I have to add you to the voice. See if I can quickly add you somehow. Stay a while. Hey. So if you guys in there, just see if you let me know if you see the voice chat. If you do, I think you just click on it, to be honest. We need a Discord invite code. Does that one work? If it doesn't work, I'll try a different one. So the other question I get asked a lot is how often do you, or how long do you soak it for? Generally, it's anywhere from the 30 minutes to an hour type of range. And that's been a really easy one to do. And literally, honestly, it can be absolutely purple and caked on, and soak it for half an hour to an hour, and it looks brand new. Click on the side, instant invite. Alright, so I'll try that one again. Okay, so that's the instant invites. The one I pasted before is the same one it's giving me. And just in case it is the redirects, I'm just going to do a couple different ones. There you go. Discord tag number 4 digits. Where do I find that? So I do see a few people in here. How do I add you guys in? Invite to server. Haha, ReefDudes chat. Nice. Excellent. What's going on, John? Welcome. Another thing for cleaning stuff too. If you're on it, at least on mine, the Shoesman, welcome, buddy. Definitely like take that thing apart, throw it in there, dip it in there for half an hour, and you can regain a ton of flow from your pumps. Like some people will be trying to add more power heads and stuff to the tank when you could literally just clean it and gain 30-40% more flow. So it really does go a long way. So I do see a couple of people showing up in the chat. If you guys are in,
figured it out.
Hey, welcome.
Dev, look at the top of your bar in Discord.
Yes. It says,
you see Frank and Seymour?
where am I looking?
You should see under channels, there should be Wednesday live stream at the top.
I just see it on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see it's got Seymour and Frank the Tank in there?
Maybe ReefDudes, Jeeves. No,
Keep going up.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I gotta drag him down. Ah, there we go.
There you go.
Oh,
there,
right.
For some reason, it's got a separate channel in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We're back in business. Curious Reefer, love the vids. Thank you very much. Send me an invite code, Infamous Aquatics. Send me your email. I'll send you the link on Hangouts. All right, so we're back in business. This is good.
Yes.
This is I've never used Discord up until today, so it's all new.
If anybody else is trying to get in, that link that was posted, there's like a plus button on the left side of your Discord panel, and if you click there, you can type in that code, and it'll let you get in.
Okay, excellent. Appreciate it.
Now we know.
There you go. Excellent.
We figured it out. Did you say that you are near Vernon?
I'm in Kelowna.
Oh, that's awesome. I lived in Vernon for like 2.5 years. My dad was actually stationed at the military base when it was still a training base there.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Where do you live now?
Now I'm in California, but...
Nice. What part?
Yeah. I'm in southern Orange County.
Okay, nice. I was in Disneyland a few weeks ago. So I was curious. I was just down there.
I'm like right down the street. It's like a half hour from me.
Oh, nice. No,
Next time, if you're coming down, let me know. We'll go hang out.
No, that'd be awesome. I tried Airbnb for the first time actually, so that was interesting. Actually, it was pretty good.
That's really cool.
It was cheap. It was like a hotel room down there was like $200 a night. I think it was $250 for an Airbnb for 4 nights.
Yeah, they're really not bad at all.
Yeah, you cannot beat it. What's going on, King of Soul?
My whole family still lives in Ontario, so
Oh, nice. Well, if you're ever back in the Okanagan, let me know.
we'll definitely let you know. I'll have to take my my daughter up there so that she can learn about Ogopogo.
Nice. Classic. Classic. Haley, always appreciate it. Always appreciate those thumbs ups, guys. If you like it, smash that like button.
All the thumbs.
Yep. So how about you? Any pro tips on maintaining your tank or equipment or testing equipment that you do?
Yes, I have a couple. So, and a couple that I have learned the hard way. The first one is don't put it off. I think that's the biggest one that I learned the hard way of how much more effort and work goes into it once you've let it get to the point where you're scraping things off and trying to get it back under control, and your phosphates have gone crazy and all of that kind of stuff. Just maintaining it more frequently, and then I mean, part of maintenance is just making sure that your stuff is placed in places that they like it. I just lost half of my torch because I didn't have it glued down securely. So when it fell, it got bumped and part of it died. So.
Oh no, yeah, that's too bad. Actually, one funny thing in my tank about gluing stuff down. My hippo tank, he'll pick up frags and take them and like drop them on other corals all the time. He's terrible. Like I'll be sitting on the couch and watch him pick up a rock or like a new frag and take it for a joyride. I'm like, what? So yeah, little punks. Definitely gluing it down. I mean, I guess that is kind of leading the way of maintenance.
Yeah, I mean it's part of getting everything set up correctly. And,
Yep.
It's an unavoidable thing that I caused myself, so I can't be angry at anybody but myself. Even though I know that my little crab was to do with it falling over, but it's my fault. I should have done better by my tank.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'll watch it move around 4 or 5 times, and eventually I'm like, okay, I should finally glue that. Yeah. Neeper6 just subscribed. Welcome, Neeper. If you're in the chat, welcome to the stream and the channel. I'm doing okay. How are you doing? I'm doing excellent, thank you. My Nano tank is my newest tank. It's been up for a month. It's already looking really good. My only complaint is I have bubble algae, which probably acquired in on a frag or something, which sucks. And I think I popped one because now it's all over the tank. So I added an emerald crab the other day, and he started going to town eating it like almost instantly. Like, I don't know if you guys watched my last video, but literally within seconds he was starting to chow down on it. So that was kind of cool. So I really hope he puts a dent in it. But otherwise, yeah. I do have 2 emerald crabs in my big tank too, and there's no visible bubble algae. There's like little bits in there if you look in like cracks and stuff, but you don't see it if you just look at the tank normally. So either it hasn't spread or they just kept in check. Who knows? One of the two. But it's been good. We can.
Oh, you can hear us?
We can.
Yeah.
What's going on, Infamous? How are you?
Not much, Jeff.
Excellent.
Hey, Jeff.
What's going on?
That was not much. So what are we talking about today, guys?
Today you're a bit echoey, but that's okay. We're talking about different ways of maintenance, like maintaining your equipment, test kits. See if you can turn down the volume a bit because it's feedbacking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about just different test kits, how to clean, maintaining your tank, cleaning those test files, all that type of stuff around the tank.
How often do you guys test?
Testing. So my general schedule, I attempt to test once a week. If I'm... Hey, Infamous, can you just mute yourself if you're not talking for a sec? There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
can hop off. I can hop off if we need to.
Nah, just mute. Just mute when you're not talking. So if I change something in my tank or I add a bunch of corals or that type of stuff, I'll test daily for a day or two and see if I notice a change. If there's no change, then...
Hold on, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm gonna hop off because I'm driving right now. I can't be like playing with it. But we're listening on the video.
All right, sounds good, buddy. Okay.
All right,
Later. Yeah, so if I add something new to the tank, I'm going to test pretty much daily. If I frag a ton of stuff, maybe I'll test a little more often, but when things are going smoothly, then literally every week. Like, right now, I'm not going to lie, I've been a bit of a slacker. It's been a couple weeks. I keep thinking I got to test. So it's going to happen soon. But yeah, in the most part, once a week is kind of my general testing. Dev got a magnificent fox face, let him in the Nano, clear all that bubble algae out in days, and move him to the main reef. Yeah, I'd feel bad. I might be able to fit a baby one in there. The only thing is, a couple of the... Yeah, so Anthony's off now, so hopefully. So with the fox face, a baby one I could probably sneak in there for a little while anyways, for a couple weeks. But I've heard they'll nip at acans and stuff in there, and I don't know if you can see on the side of my camera, but I got a big acan little garden going right here, and he would probably go to town on them. I don't know if they all do that, but the 1 or 2 people I know that had them had that issue, so... But yeah, great tip, magnificent fox face. Thank you, Jeff from Daily Reefing. Powder Blue is a beauty but big. Yes, sadly he is very big. So story with the Powder Blue. He literally showed up on my doorstep. Somebody kind of asked me if I'd be interested in him, and I said, oh, maybe it depends on price, blah, blah, blah. And this, like a month later, I got a message, be like, oh yeah, I'm at your house, and I'm not even home, so I had to run home and grab him. So
oh my gosh.
The price was right, he was free. I pretty much inherited him. He's a beautiful fish, so I figured it's worth a try. Huge, he is getting pretty big though. I am planning to do a bit of a mini upgrade sometime in the next couple months.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome, Frank. So I'm probably gonna be doing a mini upgrade. It's gonna probably add about 5 inches of width, 1 inch to a length, and about 4 or 5 inches of height to the tank. So it's probably gonna be about 50-60 gallons added to the water volume. So we'll see. He might still be good for a while, but eventually I'll probably have to rehome him. And even see my hippo tanks getting a decent size too. Both big fish. Part of the thing with tangs, you guys, everyone likes them when they're small and cute, but they can potentially grow up to a foot, so make sure you have a home. Now, as a backup plan, there actually is a restaurant where I live in the town. They have giant tank, like a massive cylinder, probably I'm going to say like 8 or 10 foot cylinder tank, so I could always give them to them as a backup plan if it ever gets too big. Okay, so Daily, you're saying you got a magnificent fox case, probably 38 cans, no issues. Excellent. Well, if I find a small one, I think I might try that. What size of tank is that? The one behind me is a little over 100. I actually shot the video in slow motion, so it's kind of funky seeing it. The water and all the fish move really slowly. But I figured I'd throw it on for fun. It's probably... The tank's 6 feet long, 18 wide, 20 wide, and 18 tall. It's probably a little over 100 and something gallons-ish for the display. And the new one's going to be 150 to 160 range, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm still debating 100% on the measurements. Flow wise, a lot of people ask that too. I have two MP40s and a CP40 gyri on the left hand side, and it kind of blows. It's set up as a peninsula. Long term plan is going to be to take out the banister at the top of the stairs and put it up there, so it's going to be in peninsula mode. So I just put vinyl on the back for now and threw it against the wall, but 100% built as a peninsula. Business reef tank, welcome to business. And I'm just going to drop that link one more time if everybody wants it for the Discord, if I still have it. Here's the bit.ly one. Let's see if that works. Greg, happy hump day to you too, buddy. Lots of people from the local
let me
area.
know when I can ask an out-of-topic question.
You can ask away and give tips if you have them.
Okay, I just got a fixture for T5 Lye. I am using Kessel in my tank.
Yep.
And I measured the power like a week ago and was pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
So if I install the T5 right now, it's just 2 bulbs.
Yep.
Do I have to be careful with the power over the corals, or how do I do the new, the corals get adjusted to this new Lye?
If the easiest way is the T5, just put it on so maybe 4 hours a day, and then just slowly extend it out longer. Like do 4 hours a day, wait a week to add maybe another hour, or just slowly up the time that the T5 is supplementing it.
But the power is not going to go, up too high
No.
to handle 4 hours, or what?
It will be more, but if you only have it on for a couple hours, it's not going to be a huge impact. So if you think about your PAR, it's okay. Say you have like 100 moles of energy per hour from your light, right? So if you have 2 bulbs on and you're getting an extra 100 micromoles of energy for 8 hours a day, there's 800 micromoles extra you're adding on top of what you already have. If you only have 4 hours, you're only adding 400 micromoles, for instance, right? So you just don't think of it as like energy per hour. Per day, per se, right? So you're only doing it a couple hours. You're only getting a short instance of it. So it's not going to be as big of an impact or hours if you had the thing. Like same thing if you're going out in the sun for an hour versus being out there for 5-6 hours getting like a sunburn or something. So starting low and kind of easing them into it is a good way to do it. With T5 balls, if you have dimmable fixture, you could run it lower. But if it's not dimmable, just shorten your photo period.
So 4 hours will be a good point to start.
Yep, I would probably say 4 hours. You should be safe. It's not going to be a huge difference. But yeah, just do that way for a week or two, and then maybe up it another hour or two after that. And just do that way to ease it into it. And you should hopefully
Thank
be
you
okay.
so much, bro.
You're most welcome. Mike the Reefer, mic check. What's going on, Mike the Reefer? We got fin time. Other ones for maintenance. Yeah, return pumps. Definitely. Make sure you clean that baby. And wave makers, huge things. Another one people don't think of is heaters. For the most part, you don't have to worry too much about core. Like a lot of stuff doesn't seem to get as caked on. At least on mine, I get more of like sponges and crustaceans and stuff. So that's another thing. Every once in a while, 6 months, whatever, soak those babies and give them good cleaning. Mr. Mike, this thing working. I cannot hear you in Discord if you're on there, but that's potentially the link if it works. If you do want to join. I see Seymour is in there because you're asking earlier, but you are muted, buddy. So if you want to test yours, feel free to jump in.
I have to figure out how to make it not go
Bloop.
bloop.
It's not too bad. It's subtle.
I've just been hiding.
That's fair. What's going on, Bubba? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
With
Just been listening in.
With special guest Bubba, who's always in the chat and rarely on the mic.
Yeah, I'm in the chat normally.
Yep.
I'm still in the chat right now, but
That's-
on Discord it's easier. My phone doesn't act up.
That's fair. That's a good excuse for it. So how about you? Any tips for maintaining tanks, equipments, test kits, anything?
Test kit wise, in the very beginning, don't get me wrong, API is cheap, but you spend that extra $10 and you can end up getting that Red Sea
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pro kit. It's a little bit more accurate. I had run
A
into
lot.
some run-ins for the DKH.
Mm-hmm.
So just giving people a heads up, I have had 2 batches go bad.
Of which one?
The alkalinity actually was way off.
The
on
Red
2
Sea or
different kits.
Sallyford or which one?
On the Red Sea.
Ah, really, eh?
Yeah, I was surprised actually. So I had to go to Saliford, go that route, and then I bought my Hannah after. But I think it's the consistency is the most important. As long as you know it's in the range that you like and where your tank needs to be at, depending, of course, on your coral and your nutrients level.
Yep.
Then you should be fine. But if you're going to keep chasing numbers and that's too high, that's too low, you never get a consistent tank. Like the stability that the tank needs.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that your corals are happy. Like if your corals are happy and they're doing okay, then you know it's more about, like you said, the consistency on it rather than like, oh my god, this number.
Yep, that's true.
Aaron's Aquarium used the super chat. 10 pounds. Thanks, buddy.
Ooh.
Awesome. Much appreciated, buddy. Love the stream.
Yeah.
Very professional, informative. Keep up the great work. It's fabulous. Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated. Yep.
That's pretty good, Dan.
Awesome. Mr. Michael, much appreciated. My fellow YouTube streamer. Oh. I'm okay. How are you, beautiful? Sally for calcium go to whack. I think almost any kit can go to whack. Same thing. I've had Hana ones where they warranted a couple things because the test kits were all funky. I mean, it could happen to any manufacturer, but for usability, Hana or not? Yeah, Red Sea and Hana are kind of my two go-tos overall.
Yeah, recently, actually, you can ask Jeeves. There's a reefer, Jeff. If you guys know him, he doesn't go into all the streams all the time.
I think I've seen him, yeah.
So he ran into an issue actually with his API test, and it shot up to 160 or over 160 of that blood red color on his nitrate test.
Oh my gosh.
And he was already wanting to do a bunch of different stuff, and we're like, get a new tester, get a new tester, get a new tester. So the last thing you want to do is start buying chemicals, buying products, or even equipment, and at least do a double check. It doesn't mean you have to go get an IPC test or whatever it is, ICP, sorry, the test done to find out if it's right or wrong. But these general test kits, like a Salifert, is a good to go for nitrates. The Red Sea's spot on almost for it, but I have heard people get bad kits. Just even in Red Sea, it doesn't matter which company, but you can still get them.
Yeah, the API I just find is super inaccurate because when I started going to my Salifert test, because I picked up the calcium and magnesium, like my calcium, the difference between what I was getting on my API test versus what I'm getting on the Salifert test is massive.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Over 100 points difference.
Well, on a flip note, just like on the devil's advocate side of the salt, a chunk of it is just being consistent, right? I mean, if your test kit's off by 10 points all the time, that almost isn't the end of the world as long as your tank is consistent. So, I mean, right? Like, at the end of the day, corals like consistency, and that's the biggest thing. So, make sure you're testing the exact same way every single time, right? You know, make sure... Oh, Miss Lurker... The Worker Fox. $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Who doesn't love this hobby? I 100% agree. I am 100%. I'm addicted to this hobby. I don't think I can give it up. I think I'm a reefer for life. So it is, but it's good. It's fun. I'm probably a YouTuber for life now because they seem to go hand in hand for me now.
But yeah, about the the difference in points. I think while I'm not chasing specific numbers. For me, the bigger thing was now that I'm starting to have some LPS and stuff in there where calcium is going to make a difference, knowing that it was too low makes a huge difference.
That was in the box. I'll put it back in.
Yeah, but the one thing I always tell people too, like at the end of the day, corals like stability. Like you could have higher alk, lower alk, different parameters. It's the stability that really matters, right? Like they'll adapt. Like corals will in time adapt, but they like things to be stable.
Well, think about it. You start in the hobby, right? We have these basic parameters that we're supposed to, kind of like guidelines, I want to call them, for reefing. And then you're like, well, it says it's supposed to be between calcium 220 and this, right, and 250. And then you go to someone else's site and it's a little different. And then once you decide that number, then you use 3 different test kits, and you just spent $60 in test kits, and every single one's going to be different.
Yeah.
so
I know,
you have to decide where you want to be at, and just try to stick to that number, because it really is. That stability is crucial in the tank. And the first couple of months, I've talked about this in I think Rico stream or another stream, and I was so bad with stability, and people don't realize that. Yeah, my tank looks good now to me, but before it was a wreck. I was using water from a different LFS, from Reef Crystals, Coral Pro, Bright Wells. I was using everything every single week different. So the coral were never happy.
Yeah.
I was like, why aren't the coral happy? Why aren't the coral? Well, I'm doing water changes every week. Well, and I never even thought about the salt.
Oh, yeah, I guess, eh?
about it. I was testing everything. Test was looking good. And some weeks they were a little higher in calcium or alkalinity versus the other. That's kind of weird. Well, no, it's because I keep switching over to another salt every other week, depending what part of town I was in. I would pick it up in the jugs.
Yeah, so you're using different salt constantly, so your
Right.
parameters are swinging every time you do water change.
It's like a reefer's confession, right? Like, but none of us are perfect. We're all gonna make mistakes, and some of them we don't see until way later. It could be months, could be a couple weeks, or someone tells you, hey, you know what, you might want to try it this way because you're gonna kill everything.
No, exactly. Steph Rogers, thank you for subscribing. Quickly just want to get to this one before it scrolls away. I was asking the Biz Reef Tank, how do I like ultrasonic cleaner? This thing was great. It was somewhere between 20 and 30 bucks on Amazon. Originally bought it just for airbrushing, but I use it now to clean my test kits. Every couple of months I'll use it, and it works great. CMCC, welcome to the channel. All you guys and your fake Frenches in the chat.
But yeah, talking about your salt and whatever, when we started talking, me talking about not doing the maintenance enough, that definitely plays into my stability too, because like you were saying, they don't really care about specific on the number, more about the stability. And by the time I finally got around to testing and then changing the water in my tank, my alk was still what most people would consider good, but it was 3 points lower than my corals were used to, so they weren't happy.
Yep.
Right.
And it takes time for corals to adapt. Like, usually you add a new coral to your tank, it's not necessarily going to crust or grow for a couple months until it's established and happy, if it's come from a different thing, so.
Yep, that's true. I've had a war paint. Scully was probably mad for a good, I want to say about 2 months. Really pissed off because I think I was just used to a different alk level, and then I just, like I said, I kept jumping around with different water. And as much as I'm doing the husbandry part of it, and I'm like, oh, well, everything's clean, the glass is clean, the water, you know what I mean? Like, everything that you thought you knew was fine, and I'm like, and then you start to realize, well, maybe it's better I just mix my own salt. And then when I started doing, had my own RDI system, you have more control. So I was able to make sure that water's coming out crystal clean. What I was mixing was right. I have two different, for salinity, I was able to check 2 different ways because I use a Milwaukee and a refractometer. And you start to narrow out these issues that beginner reefers run into. And that stability starts with that water, that salt. And it doesn't help if you keep mixing it, right?
Yeah, no. Well, another thing to consider too, like a lot of people, if you keep your tank at different parameters than you have in your salt mix, right? Like if you keep your tank at, say, an alk of 8, you're using a high alkalinity salt like Reef Crystals, which is like 11ish, or Red Sea Pro, which is even 12 or 13, and you do a big water change on your tank, you're causing a huge alk swing, right? Most people don't consider that. And that could be something that's completely messing with your corals and everything, make it happy, right? We're completely unrelated, but when I do water change, like I only ever do a 5-gallon bucket. Like my tank's 100 and something gallons, and so it's less than 5%. But it's at that point where I don't have to heat the water because it's such a small amount, and it's nothing that's going to cause a swing in it. So it's something you got to consider if you're doing a big water change, or if you think something up and you're like, oh, panic, do a water change. Yep. Noble Reef, welcome. What's going on? CMC, yes, I will be at Big White on Monday if you're still there, and I'm a snowboarder.
Hey, Dev, can you hear me?
I sure can. Welcome.
All right.
I see you unmuted yourself.
Yes, I didn't realize it was on mute. Sorry.
No problem.
Mute myself too, because my girlfriend came in and was talking to me. Because I've been having a problem lately. My calcium's a little high, and I have a hammer coral closed up, and I'm thinking either the frog spawn stung it, because there's only 2 other corals that affect, and the frog spawns between the 2 of them, or my calcium's too high. But everything else is thriving. So it's kind of weird. So I'm thinking maybe more on the frog spawn stinging.
It very well could be. Like if you see my tank, actually, that hammer right over my shoulder is. Anyways, there's a hammer there, and there's Rainbow Monty right beside it. Now sends out little stinging. Like you would think this thing will reach out an extra inch or 2 with a little stinging tentacle and freaking sting my Rainbow Monty. Corals are nasty, and you'd be surprised. Even behind my head up there, that big chalice I have, like, it's amazing how long those little stinger tentacles can come out. You think they're tiny, and all of a sudden this like couple inch arm comes out, and you're like, where the heck did that come from? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch out with that. Bubble
Mhm.
coral, favias. There's some of them that just this gigantic thing comes out. You're like, what?
Mhm.
I feel like that every time I
It's like
swim.
Watch
frogs
out.
spawn. They grew a lot.
Yep, it's true. So it's something you gotta kind of look out for, and usually it's more in spots you'll see in the same general area because it's usually a sweep or a tentacle poking out and hitting stuff.
Well, it's my purple stylo. It's fairly new. It's a frag that girlfriend, she thought, oh, it's pretty, and brought it home. I was like, what the hell is this thing? And I had no idea at first. I'd research. I'm like, oh, but one side was barren, and now it's starting to come out again. It looks like. So I think it was just the frog spawn. So I moved the frog spawn. The hammer's still closed up, so I'm kind of concerned about him.
Mm-hmm.
He's been closed up for about a week now, and it's like,
Yeah. So okay, two other completely semi-related things. So sometimes corals will just take a while to adapt. I've bought corals that have done absolutely nothing for a few months, and all of a sudden they take off and explode. So I think part of it's that time to adapt. And then on the flip side, I've also had corals that just didn't like my tank. Like you can kind of see there's that deep water acro there, and just below the red Monty. And I tried that 4 times until it finally grows. Like it just kept dying, wouldn't be happy, and that could just be like a tank maturity thing. And it's just now it's happy, it grows like crazy. But I kept trying, it just kept biting the dust. So I mean, there is sometimes corals that don't like your tank for some reason until whatever that unknown thing changes, then maybe it'll thrive. But on the flip side, I threw a chunk of that in my Nano tank, and it's been happy. I mean, it hasn't really grown a ton, but it's had no issues and it's been happy, which is good. So Eric was just asking, how do people deal with buying coral from your local fish store? Parameters is completely different than you're just dumping in your tank. So when I buy corals from a store, yeah, like I try not to mix the tank water, the store water in, but generally, like a fish, I'll acclimate it. So I'll put it in a bucket, and usually I'll try and replace most of our tank water. Like I'll take a scoop from my tank, put it in that bucket, let it sit for a bit. 5-10 minutes later, I'll take another scoop and dump it in, and try and do it till at least half or more of the tank water. And as the bucket's filling, I dump some out. So eventually, we should be replacing for the most part that water. So you are doing it. Then I usually give everything a dip too, just 'cause I'm paranoid.
oh yeah, dipping corals definitely.
So
I'd like to add, I don't think a lot of LFSs are actually growing out corals for the most part of the systems that you buy them from. If the ones you have grow out systems, those are usually separate from what they'll sell stuff in. So I think a lot of times, yeah, at least the 2 LFSs I know, Absolutely Fish, Blue Reef, and Manhattan Aquariums, they're not growing corals. So much stuff comes in and passes through that they just get it, acclimate it, make sure it's okay, try to dip it a little bit, and then make sure it's open and the polyps are out for sale. I think Absolutely Fish has a facility where they grow coral, but for the most part, the systems that you buy coral from are not growing. They're not necessarily grow out systems.
They just need to survive.
No, not at all.
Yep.
I was working at LFS for a while, and it just depends on the owner. If they feel to buy a colony and just chop it up and then sell it that way, they make a fortune off of it. And there's also on the other side, if you sometimes get a coral that's so expensive that no one wants to buy it, and it does end up staying in that tank or that little tank, of coral, and then it does become kind of a grow out because it does grow, but it also ends up dealing with some swings also because we're constantly having to change the water, and it doesn't stay consistent. You'll be surprised that it's actually a little bit inconsistent sometimes in some shops. Just depends on, like I said, on the owner, the shop, and how diligent they are about their maintenance and husbandry.
Yeah, no, very true. But yeah, I don't know. Most of them are same thing. They just need to live. They don't need to thrive and do it. Unless you're buying from somewhere that sells frags, right? And they frag it up. Then they're going to be paying a lot more attention to it. They're going to be testing their tank and dosing properly and stuff. And that's probably where you're going to have the higher parameters. Where a normal fish store is honestly probably like Instant Ocean or whatever's cheap, right?
Well, just in case someone didn't understand me, like if we were to buy a brand new 8-can colony, right? And say they do end up chopping it up and they put it into one frag tank versus keeping that colony and putting it in the colony tanks, we have to keep taking out water over and over to go with those frags. So now that system gets low, the water gets low in the sump, and we have to add water. So all it takes is one person adding in normal salt water versus RODI water, and now you're starting to get a swing in this small, 80-gallon or 120-gallon tank. That's a low boy. And that's why I'm trying to tell people there are swings at the LFS that happen. Like, just kind of keep an eye out and see how they do their own thing. Because all it takes is someone making one of those mistakes and you start seeing coral starting to look ugly. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's true. Just quickly catch up on the chat. Say the local fish store is 2 to 3 DKH different, and we acclimate them for a couple hours is actually enough to not class as a major swing. It still is a swing for them. The coral's still not going to be happy. It will be easier to adapt if it's a longer period, so it's a more subtler swing. Now, that being said, I mean, likely it will survive and be fine in your tank, but it just won't be happy for a while, right? It may take a few weeks, a month before it starts to start encrusting and growing and stuff, right? The biggest thing I find is it's not necessarily going to kill a coral. It just won't be happy. The polyps might not be out. It might not be growing. It might just be surviving until it kind of adapts to that new atmosphere. And if it's a subtle change, I mean, it may start doing that right away, right? Like a couple frags that I just bought. I can't see them there. But I just bought like a decent little mini colony of pink millie and some other yellow, I think it's a watermelon millie or something like that. And polyps are out the next day. So, I mean, obviously their tank was pretty similar. Couldn't have been too hard on them. Another question someone asked a few minutes ago, about buying stuff local or where I order it from? It's a mixture of online / local. JNL Aquatics and Reef Supplies are my main two go-to for kind of Canada online ones. Most of the fish stuff, I don't really order fish online. I try and buy that stuff local for the most part, or in person, because I like to give it a good inspection first to make sure they're healthy and whatever I'm buying. Dip then dip, yeah. So the only one sketchy thing, this better not backfire on me, but my pink millie, I gave it I didn't want to not dip it because I had 2 acro crabs in it, which I love those little guys, super cool. So I still gave it a dip, but I just gave it a shorter dip, so hopefully it's just a quick one. I saw a couple pods come off and stuff, but hopefully still does all right after that. Wasn't enough time. Leave the SPS rather than dip it. But yeah, honestly, it's worth dipping everything you put in your tank. It's just kind of a safety thing. Other quick question for you guys. The ReefDudes logo at the top of the screen, what do you guys think of it? Think about making some shirts. I'm debating either doing that, or I might just make the dudes white just because they charge you per color, so I can just do white and blue. It'll be a lot cheaper, but we'll see.
I was just actually looking at the shirts that you have on the Facebook thing. I really like the kind of light blue one. The
baby blue one or whatever?
Yeah.
I like that color, but my only thing was the reef part doesn't pop as much.
Is hard to... Yeah, I think that the darker blue has the same problem with the gray.
So if you scroll down to the later ones, I took the gray out and just made the dudes white, and then it popped a bit more. I don't know. I'm going to Reefapalooza in a couple weeks, so I'm trying to find something. I want to make a couple shirts before I go, just for fun.
On the one where you have 4, I like the third one the most. The one where it's like ReefDudes over the play button.
Oh, that one? Yeah, that's a cool
one. With the black outline. I like that. I think that looks good.
Cool. Thank you. That's one of my contenders. I think that one, or like the one in the screen above us, but probably just white instead of gray for the dudes. One of the two, just because then it's cheaper if it's only the 2 colors.
The second one that's on there, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth, but I'll probably make them all eventually. But just for now. But I was looking at silk screening, and they charge you so much per color based on quantity, and every color is another like $5 a shirt. I'm like, it gets expensive.
I mean, after you do Reefapalooza, like, if you wanted to, you could do like a campaign where you put up basically a design, and then any of your followers and whatever that want to purchase your shirt can go do that.
Yeah, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, because that way you don't have to design them all in at like a specific size and hope that that's going to fit.
Yeah.
They can kind of order what they want, and you kind of have that campaign up for like a specific length of time. And then you can even retire that and have it be like a one-time collector's run, and then change it for the next set around.
It'd be kind of fun.
I've seen a lot of different like bloggers and stuff do that.
Yeah. Well, with doing the way I was doing it for locally, basically the price of silk screening, if you might as well buy 12. Because if you buy 6, it's like the same price of buying 12. It like cuts in half when you buy 12 or more. So I might do 12. So I'll probably get a couple for me in different colors. And then, I don't know. I might get a couple for giveaways, or I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But
yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah. It'd be cool. I might try and eventually find somewhere to do drop shipping and just do a bunch of different ones. And I have a different one to wear in like every video just for myself. Would be kind of fun. Yep. So Cuban Reefer. I'll see you at Reefer Plans Orlando. Bring a shirt for me. I am a medium. I'll see what I can do, Cuban Reefer. If this works out, I may end up with 12, so I may have a couple extra. Johan Design. Johan, check out the Facebook group. I know you do a lot of design stuff as well. Hannah calcium tester. Am I using distilled water? I always have different readings. So, okay, 503 to 407 is all over the map. So I use RODI. I don't know if there's a difference in distilled. I've never tried it in the test kit. With the calcium one, though, it is very, very finicky. Like, you got to use the right amount of tank water, like 0.1 of a mil. Like, it's small little amount. So if that's thrown off at all, it's gonna mess up your readings. Same thing is if your test kits are not perfectly clean, right? Because the HANA kits, they use a little optical sensor, and it basically shines like a light through into a sensor, and it judges the color of it, and that's how it kind of gets the reading. So if your little vials are cloudy or not perfectly clear, you got fingerprints on it, that's all gonna mess with your reading. So if you're doing it, it's good to like take a cloth or something and kind of clean this off and make sure there's no fingerprints afterwards. The other thing, like we were talking about earlier, like for cleaning it, make sure you give a good cleaning with, citric acid or vinegar or ultrasonic cleaner, but something, just make sure these guys are nice and sparkly clean. Otherwise, that is something I consider.
I was going to say, somebody talked about cleaning them out with lemon juice yesterday.
I haven't tried that, but it is basically like a citric acid, so it makes sense. One other quick note too, like if you look on these, like you can see where if it focuses, I don't know if it will, like there's a little 10 mil on it. Like, even if you want to be extra hardcore, make sure that's pointing directly forward at you, so the light's shooting through the same place between your pre-test and your after-test. All these little things can kind of come into play and potentially mess with it. So
yeah, because I didn't clean one of my vials, and I tested my phosphate this afternoon. I freaked out. It's at 5.0.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Did you clean it and retest?
So I redid it twice. I retested twice, and it dropped to 0.25. I'm like, there we go.
Oh, no.
Prime example of how using a dirty vial is going to mess with your tests.
That's exactly what it was. A dirty vial today, and I'm like, I freaked out because I tested 3 times in total, and I was talking to my friends, like, yeah, dude, I'd go the other 2 tests that both read like the 2.5 or less compared to that 5.0 because you probably didn't clean the vial out or something.
Oh, see? There you go.
Yep.
I'd be careful with the citric acid. Just a pointer on if anyone has a HANA, it will eat that line that says 10 ml. So if you're going to do it, pre-mix it if it's going to be a strong solution, and use a syringe or something and squirt it directly into the vial.
Yep.
And then let it sit in there for at least 10 minutes.
The other thing is, too, when you pour liquid in, it's going to do a dip, like the meniscus. I always make sure the bottom of the meniscus is touching the line, right? So the water always clings to the glass and goes upwards. So it's another thing. Make sure you're paying attention to the bottom of that meniscus and make sure that's on the line. It's another kind of pro tip. Claudius, would you recommend G4 Radions Pros and an XR15 for a 4-foot tank? Yeah, it depends how deep it is. So let me know how deep your tank is. Basically, I prefer XR15s for anything I'm going to say about 2 feet or less. I would recommend XR15s because I like the fact that you can split up the pucks, right? So you can get better spread. If they're this close together, you get that spread. If you can split them up that way, and you can get away with your 2 lights on a wider, say 3-foot tank. So you only really, 20 inches. Yeah, I would go with XR15s if I were you. I would only really say you need the 30s if you have a deeper tank and you need that extra penetration for it to go deeper through the water. Yeah, so probably 2 15s you could get away with. 3 if you want to be extra hardcore for a big SPS pack tank. But you could get away with 2. 3 would be probably like perfect if you wanted lots of SPS. But they do say about 2 foot per light. Red Sea, do not clean them with a cloth. How come? I'm curious on that one there, Reef Ghost. I've used, I don't think I have any on my desk, but I use the little microfiber cloths usually if I have fingerprints and stuff on it. I'll just wipe it off with that when I'm doing it. Okay, so Retro Reef, 2G4 Pros, enough for my 120 gallon tank. Again, depends on the depth, but yes, in general, 2 foot, I believe it's around 2 feet, they say, for like an XR15, a Radeon, a 30, I believe it's closer to about 30 inches. So it kind of depends on your width. Again, if it's not super deep, I personally would go with the XR15s. If it's a deeper tank, like 30 inches or so, then I'd go for the XR30s. Cuban Reefer. Yeah, so yeah, Claus, you're saying 20 inches. Yeah, definitely go with the 15s. You'll get better spread. And I mean, if you're thinking about doing 2 30s, like you can get 2 15s for the price of a 30, or you get 3 of them, which will be cheaper than 2 30s, and then you'll get really great spread. Hannah recommends you keep the vials uncapped when storing. So on that, kind of what I generally do. Once I clean a vial, I just put them upside down in one of the containers so that they have a bit of air. If there's any residual leftover moisture, it will drip out. That's kind of how I store mine. Same kind of thing, upside down, definitely. Anything that will drip out, you're good to go. 1 puck per foot, that's a good way of thinking of it. You can get 2 feet with the 15s, but do less if you're heavy SPS, basically is kind of how I'd look at it. Yeah, so 2 XR15s on a 36-inch tank. I did the same thing. I originally bought 2 XR15s when I had my Nuvo 30, which is a 3-foot tank. And then when I got my big tank, I just got more. That's one thing I like about the more modular design. If you upgrade, your lights are still good. You can just move them with as you grow. They say they don't like to clean inside with a cloth. I have cleaned inside a few times. I just used a Q-tip when I did it, or I throw in the ultrasonic cleaner. For standard 140. Anyone test phosphates from the reactor output, or do you wait for phosphates to creep into the tank then change the media? I've never tested directly from the reactor. Generally, I will test just the tank water, and I do have GFO on like a very, very, very low amount. It's honestly like the tiniest trickle in the world. It's in there just for fun. And yeah, I change it every month and a half, 2 months. I'll change it, or if I notice my phosphates are really high, but it generally lasts quite a long time before I worry about it.
Hey, Dev, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. A little trick that I do with the Hannah Checker tubes, or with any of the tubes, API, anything, whatever my base fluid is going to be, I'll explain that in a second. I rinse the tubes first.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm doing alkalinity, I'll drop a couple mils of tank water in there.
Yep.
Swish it around, even if it's dry and been sitting. Swish it around and dump it. Then go back and put, my fresh solution in there and the reagent and all.
Yeah.
Same thing for calcium. I've pre-rinsed with RODI, then go back and put reagent and RO, and start the process that way. That seems to help me a lot.
Mm-hmm. No, great tip. I actually have done that before too. Completely forgot about it, so awesome. So handmade. Okay, so someone's asking, would I recommend the Hannah over other kits? Alkalinity, yes, 100%, and the phosphate one I'd recommend is kind of the main tea from Hannah. Calcium works well-ish, but it's finicky. If you don't do the right amount of drips and stuff, it's going to mess with your results, and I find a lot of people have more issues with it. That, and I find the refills expensive. So I don't use my calcium all the time. I do it like once a month just to check it, and in between I'll use my Red Sea one, just because it's like $30 or more for the refill. I don't know. To me, I find it really expensive. But Red Sea in general, if you don't have them, if you need any test kits, the foundation kits, what I've found to be the best bang for your buck, and cheap refills. But yeah, the alkalinity one from Hannah, definitely I'd recommend that one, because that one I use it all the time. It's super quick and easy to do. So that answered that, Swell Aquatics. First time having a mixed reef, yeah. I love a mixed reef. I don't know, like the mix of soft teas and corals and stuff. It's a fun way to do it. Wish Hannah made a nitrate test kit. I haven't actually looked at that one. The nitrate one's another one. It's a bit finicky. That one I have the Red Sea one. It does take a while to do the test though. That's probably why I don't do it all that often, because I believe that's the one that has a little filter paper and got to drip it. I mean, you're 10-15 minutes to fully do that test. Elos high resolution I find close to Hannah. Okay, that's good to know. The Elos, how was the color testing on that one? The biggest issue I found with other companies is just the colors. Like with phosphates, it's always so subtle, the differences. I always find it really hard to match it.
What's up, Bo? You back?
I recently got a deal at discount where I got all the Elos test kits really cheap. Mm-hmm. I've been buying them all, and I still like my Hannah phosphate tester because the digital readout, but Elos is my second. I've stopped using the Hannah calcium checker because the Elos is a lot easier. The Hannah checker, I think it's accurate, but it's just a couple of steps. You're never quite sure if it's accurate. So I sort of get that feeling in my stomach that it's never accurate. But the Elos calcium checker, I like it because there's like a what's called a quicker test where it goes in graduations of 50. So, so I know my calcium. It's good to know when I'm testing on a weekly basis that my calcium is somewhere between 400 and 450. I'm fine with that. Then once a month, I'll do the more accurate test where you can do 410, 420, 430, 440. So I like the ELOS test kits. I bought all of them. I've tried all of them, and I do like them. For nitrate, it's a lot easier to read the changes in color than, let's say, the Salifert or something else. So
Yep.
I'll switch ELOS for calcium, 100%. That's my number one calcium test kit. And for nitrates, it's now my number one nitrate test kit.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I've never tried the ELOS, but it's good to hear you're liking them.
It's also Miss Fox mentioned something about Hannah. The thing about Hannah with ALK, sometimes when I change, I don't know if it's the way I store my reagents, but every time I change reagents, I feel like my alkalinity changes by 0.5, 0.6. I recently tested. I drew water from the tank same time, used different vials and tested, and the new reagent was old reagent was 7.5, and I tried to test twice. So I don't know if it's the reagent or maybe I left it open one time. I don't know what it is, but I always seem to get a little bit of jump when I change Hannah ALK reagents.
Yeah, good to know. I don't think I've noticed that, but I'll pay attention next time I swap. I'm curious now. Okay, quick couple of things in the chat before it scrolls away. Hey man, Red Sea Max and Nano or Fluvo Eco 13.5 with the AI Prime HD and at a Hydor ATO. Okay, AI Prime HD, I'm really liking mine. It's basically like my mini Radeon equivalent, so I've tried to make the schedule match mine, and I've been very happy with the light. As for the Fluvo Eco 13.5, I don't actually know what that tank is, so I'm quickly Googling it to double check. Okay, that's a nice little tank too. It's definitely cheaper than the Red Sea. Still a nice tank. Red Sea to me looks more like a premium tank because you got the nice rimless tank, all the the low iron glass, the polished edges. You're gonna pay more, but I think it's a classier looking tank. But either one's a good little tank. So it really depends on your budget. Definitely AI Prime HD, great light. My Carl's been happy. Behind me I have that to the side. Where is it? That little blue milli. That's one of my favorite ones. I threw that one in the Nano and it's already encrusting under it. So the AI Prime HD so far so good for me.
Hey, Devin.
Yep.
Harish in the chat, I actually sent him your way because he's in Canada.
Okay.
He was trying to get a Red Sea when I was speaking with him. And I told him you might be able to help him to find some other alternatives.
Yep.
Within his budget. I don't know if he's emailed you, but if so, I'm just throwing it out there that way.
Okay.
I saw him in the chat. So.
No, perfect. I will check my email on that one later.
Right,
yeah, Red Sea's not cheap, but it's nice. Put it that way.
Yeah, then I Nano tank, which is $939.
It's not a cheap tank, but it's a pretty tank. So, but it does come with a light and everything too, right? There's a couple $100 you pay for your light upside of the tank. Has a nice stand. So I don't know. It honestly, it really depends on your budget. I love mine, but it's not cheap for a nano tank. But it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous tank. So that's kind of depends. Nitrates are difficult to accurately test for, so how long you can hold it steady for is good. Yep, no, steady is definitely a good thing. Someone else somewhere in the chat, I'm just trying to find it, they're asking about where you pull water from the tank, the top versus the bottom. Honestly, I'm 99% sure if you pull water from the top or the bottom and test identical, it's going to dilute your water and disperse pretty quickly. So anywhere you test from should be the same in your tank, in your system, providing, it's decent turnover. So blue carbon reefing, Hannah testers for ultra low phosphorus. I like the calcium for Hannah. Yeah. Test kit shoot on reef to reef. I'll check that one out later.
Tomorrow, my exact iDip refill agent's come and I can start using it because the one I bought was expired and I can tell people how good this thing is or not. And it was $330 for the system, so we'll find out.
Yeah, let me know. I'm curious.
Yeah. I was interested.
Yep. So John was asking about iDip. I've never used iDip. I have Coral RX and Revive. Those are the main two I use. And I recently acquired a bottle of that Bear's dip that everyone in the States seems to use and love. So I haven't used it yet, but I got a bottle of that too. So that's my 3 potential dipping arsenals. Hannah, in my opinion, Hannah's only good checker is the phosphorus, ultra low. Phosphate and alkalinity. I'm going to argue that one. Both of them I think are extremely useful. Yeah, I know if you email me, just devin@reefdudes.com or reefdudes.com/ask and submit a question on there. Either one goes to my email, so if you want to ask me anything specific on it. Red Sea, not crazy about the room in the stands. Don't know about that. I think you're talking about the one that split. The one that I have, the Nano, is just one big open area. So, I mean, that's as much space you can possibly get in a stand, so I have zero complaints on that one.
And one other thing, Devin, I think what you got is the max that comes with the light.
Yes.
I think for a little less money, you can get it without the light. You can get the Reefer Nanos.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the Reefer Max, which comes with the lights and everything.
Yep.
So I have the Red Sea Reefer 350. I think you can either get it as a package with lights, or if you have some kind of lights, or you think you can get lights cheaper, you can actually get it without the lights. I got it without the lights. So there's actually two lines. So the same tank you have, you can actually buy it without lights.
What's the price difference, though? Like, is it the same price as buying the light separately, or is it?
I think you get a little bit of a discount when you buy it together.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Let's say you have lights before something. You can always reuse your lights.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. I guess the only real difference, the one that comes with the tank, is built in. There's a mount that's on the back of the Red Sea tank, so it has its own arm and its little plug into it. So if you bought a different tank, you'd probably need to buy an arm for it, because the other one looks proprietary to the Red Sea. Okay, Jamie, how many radions for a 120 2 feet by 6 feet? So my tank, I would do 4 XR15s if it was me for 2 feet by 6 feet, because that's not too far from my tank.
I had 2 XR30s on a 4-foot tank, and based on what I see you do and a couple other people like like Paul Williams from Reef Community Worldwide do XR15s. You basically, it's half the price, but you have better options with spacing.
Yep.
And what do you have? 4 over your tank?
Yeah, here, let me drop this down a bit. Bloop. Okay, so if you look in the background, I got 4 XR15s over mine. And I have one in my sump for frags. Some days I debate putting on top for 5 on top. It'd be completely overkill, but it'd be good.
So I had 4 pucks. I had 4 pucks over XR30s over. But I think even if you want to get the same amount of pucks, because the XR15 is half the price of the XR30.
Yep.
So if I had to do it again, I would get the XR15s and be able to, even if you want to have a low zone, let's say you want to kind of space them out into the sides and have SPS zones and then sort of lower power zones, the XR15 give you that option that you can do that.
Yeah,
I would definitely.
For me, I just like that I could space the pucks out a bit more and just like even out the spread. That was the biggest thing for me. That's why I decided to go with 15s over a single 30. So Greg Jones. So besides reagents, what other consumables do you use for testing water? Disposable pipettes, replacement vials, RO. Okay, so RODI. That's something I will potentially use for cleaning it, or some calcium test kits like the Hannah requires RO as part of the test. Now, for pipettes, they're reusable. I don't really throw them out. So for instance, like the Red Sea kit comes with all these ones, and these guys are for testing the actual reagents, like the one you drip into it to find a certain amount. I do have a big bag of these guys. I use them for, if I'm dipping a coral, I'll use it to spray it. If I'm just filling up the vial, I'll use these. So I use these for everything. I just bought a big bag for like $10 of like 50 of them or something, so I have massive amounts. But for the most part, they're not really disposable. They stay. They don't really go bad unless the numbers start rubbing off, and I'll get a new one. But as long as you just don't use, if you're using one for our own tank water, ideally just do a little mark or something on them so you keep them for certain ones. So I'm not using one for tank water and sucking up RO, right? Because it could potentially contaminate your RO and it's not pure. That's about the only really kind of tip on that one. So Eric, I find the ELOS test kit very good. Each drop is 0.5 DKH. The color change is very easy to see. As long as you get 15 to 16 drops, I'm happy. Okay, that's good to know. I haven't used the ELOS ones personally, so that's good. It sounds like a couple of you guys are liking those. Who are you talking to right now? Just wondering, because I talked to several people about this topic. Are you talking about... I was talking to you in the chat. Earlier, I was answering your question, Harish. So, if you're talking about people in the audio chat, it really depends what it was. Is the return pump and... ReefDudes, is the return pump in the Max Nano amazing? Like, am I paying $1,000? Hopefully it's something I won't need to upgrade. So I'm in a Red Sea Nano group on Facebook. There was a couple of people in there that complained about it being noisy. and try to change it. I personally have found it to be perfectly fine and not loud at all. The skimmer could be a smidge quieter. It's not terrible, but it's not silent. Now, when you're going on the ReefDudes scale, I am like obsessed with making my tank quiet as possible. The Nano is louder than my big reef, but my big reef is like dead quiet. Like everyone that comes over is completely amazed at how quiet my tank is. So that being said, the skimmer in the Red Sea could be quieter. One day I may change, I might leave it. It's not bad, but it's not silent. So the return pump, not an issue at all. I've had no issue. The couple of people that I've heard say about the noise level, I believe it's just from like it like rattling against the glass or something in there. So there's like your return nozzles here and your pump hangs this way. So you just got to make sure it's a 90-degree angle so it's kind of floating in the middle, not smacking against the side or hitting anything. I'd say that's kind of the biggest thing with it. What do I keep my alkalinity and calcium at? I keep my alkalinity, I target 8.5, calcium usually around the 420 to 450 range. Magnesium, I try and keep around 1400-ish. 1350 to 1450 is kind of the range, but I generally keep it somewhere around the 14 to 1450. I'm talking about the guy in the live stream. That would be me. So yes, I was talking to you, Hirsch. And it was Reefing with Tho was the last guy I was talking on here. Yeah, no, Bubba. Yeah, so Bubba was talking earlier, I think, about your question to start it off. It's like chat inception. So hopefully that answers everything. If you have any more specific questions on it, let me know. So I think that's kind of my main... the guy in the stream with the live voice. That is me. That is I. So hopefully that's kind of like the bigger things. More on test kits. Make sure they're clean. Test often enough. How often do you test? It really depends what you're doing. If you're starting out, test very frequently. And as you know your tank's stable, you can become more lax and test less frequently. Digital test kits. Make sure they're clean. Clean those once in a while. Vinegar, water, 50-50 mix. Like that works great. Don't do it all the time. Most of the time I just rinse it. But every like month or two, you'll start to see a bit of a filmy buildup. And it's a good way to kind of clean it again.
Yeah, you'll have my problem. Otherwise, your phosphate will say 5.0 instead of 0.25 or less if you don't clean your stuff.
No, exactly. And another thing to consider too is if you get a wild reading, you know, it's sometimes just check it or grab a different file, do a retest, because sometimes it could just be a user, or I dumped in too much of, you know, the little extra push of the syringe may have dumped in too much of one of your mixtures, right? Or reagents going to throw off your mix.
Yeah, probably what it was. Either the vial was not clean, or I maybe did one too many drips. I think it maybe one too many drips, or it's just, I don't know, but I grabbed 2 other vials and tried it, like I said, 3 times, all 3 different vials, and it was totally different. So I was like, yeah.
Another thing I'll do too, like don't jump on anything. If you test something and something seems way off, like sometimes I'll just be like, all right, and I'll just wait 24 hours, I'll test again. And if it's still way off, then I'll probably, okay, something maybe is up, or maybe you test fine, and that way you're not like dumping a bunch of alkalinity and you didn't need to, right? So sometimes it's worth waiting a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't do nothing. I tested again right away just to see. I'm like, okay, so it wasn't probably a human error, my fault. Like I said, not cleaning the tube or too many drips or something. It was my end, not the test. So that's what I did. I tested again. Like you said, though, if it's still red high, I would wait until tomorrow and be like, okay, test again and see what it says.
No, yeah, that's an excellent way to do it. Falcon Quick, protein skimmer or media basket if you only have room for one in a Nano, doing a 15 to 20% weekly water change. I would do a media basket, and I would probably use something like a carbon/phosphate, like a ChemiPure Blue or something like that, because that will help your phosphates and keep your water nice and clean. You don't really need a protein skimmer in a Nano if you're doing weekly water changes. You know, a 20-gallon tank, a 5-gallon bucket, that's 25% water change. Like, that's a huge chunk of water that will, for the most part, as long as you're not, you know, dumping in food like crazy, it's going to deal with a lot of your nutrient issues. So you do not need a protein skimmer in a Nano tank. If you have one, you can get away a little longer on water changes and be a little more lax on it, but you don't need it, especially if you're doing weekly water changes. So just pulled the
Yep. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just reading his response. So just pulled the skimmer media basket. Was hoping I made the right call. Yep. No, you're perfectly fine with that. Honestly, if 15-20% weekly water change, you're good. Just keep up on your weekly water changes, and you shouldn't have an issue.
Yeah, my girlfriend's got a protein skimmer on her Evo 13.5 from Fluval with a media basket, and it's like, it's a bit overkill. The protein skimmer is really not pulling a lot.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it does the job. I mean, it's pulling out gunk. It definitely helps. But if I had a tank that didn't come with one, and it was a Nano, I wouldn't be a big deal to worry about adding one, because it's just, you get so much more benefit from a water change, and it's cheap and easy to do on a small tank. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do about 3 gallons every week on her tank.
Yeah. Personal question. What's your main income, this or something else? I wish it was this. You don't make much off YouTube. YouTube is a fun hobby job. I mean, hopefully long term, if I get, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of subscribers, maybe. But yeah, no, it doesn't do much. I've probably spent more on cameras and microphones than I've made off of it. So yeah, it's not a get rich, make anything thing. It's a labor of love, this job. The amount of time I spend editing, I make like pennies per hour. So it's definitely a long-term thing. But yeah, just pulled the skimmer. Yeah, so definitely 100% water change is all you need to go, and you'll be good to go there, Falcon quick.
Yeah, and make sure you clean the sponge on the media basket on a regular basis too. Get all that stuff that's stuck in there.
Exactly. The other thing too, like on the Nanos, I've always used that like polyfill stuff. Get the sheets of it, and go to the fabric store and buy a big chunk of it for like a couple bucks. Just cut little strips and just put it on the top of your overflow. So that catches all the stuff first. It'll keep a lot of the particles out of the back, and you can just chuck it out, throw a new one in every week, and it costs you pennies. So that's
exactly.
There's your mechanical and catches all your stuff all in one. I'm doing the same thing on my Red Sea Nano now, but the filter sock, I just have a little chunk of that polyfill stuff, and then saves the sock from getting super dirty super quick. It's a great way to do it. Joey's definitely making me good money. He is. Joey has like 100,000 plus subscribers though. I only got like 5,000, 6,000. One day. Big goals. One day. If I could replace my real job and only do YouTube and make videos all the time, that'd be awesome. Life goals. One day, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, definitely labor of love for now. Ended up hearing a down system was leaking. It's all good though. Finally get time to make a functional piece of furniture. Oh no, that sucks. I had to take down your tank. I have had a tank explode on me once. That sucked. It was only a 24-gallon tank, but it was still bad. So I feel for if you had a tank leaking or something else bad happened like that. Yeah, so cool. Thanks, floss, sponge, charcoal, Chemi Pure. Yep, honestly, I would probably just use the filtery pad stuff on top and throw a bag of Chemi Pure Blue in it. That's what I've used in the past, and it's been awesome. 700.
Yeah, my girlfriend used Pure Elite.
Yeah, Chemi Pure Elite. Does that one have the phosphate remover in it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. I don't really know what the difference between the blue is. I thought blue had that and that one didn't, but I've never used Elite. Only used blue, but this worked well.
As long as you're using some type of charcoal media to help clean your tank water and stuff, so it's all good.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so that's honestly all you need for a Nano. That and water changes. Call it a day. So I think we pretty much covered all the basic stuff, at least on the test kit side of maintenance. Pumps, same thing. Make sure you clean those every 4 to 6 months. Clean those power heads. Clean that return pump. It's going to stop you from having issues. It's going to stop stuff from breaking down, and you're going to get more flow out of it. So it's easy to do. Make sure you do that in your schedule. Not, I guess, semi on the maintenance thing. Probes, too. If you guys have like an Apex or pH probes or that type of stuff, same thing. Got to clean those every once in a while. And calibrate them. Like my pH probe, I think I set a reminder for every 3 or 4 months, and it's been bugging me for weeks, so I've got to calibrate my pH probe pretty soon. It's another thing for maintenance, right? Stuff drifts, stuff will shift over time. If you get any kinds of film, sponge stuff growing on it, it's going to mess with your reading. So the little bit of maintenance goes a long way in just being preventative for preventing any failures or stuff happening in your tank down the road.
Also prevents it from breaking, and then you have to buy new stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's much cheaper to spend half an hour one day to clean it than it is to have to spend a couple $100 on a new one and have something down in your tank for a while.
I agree.
Yep. Don't forget to check those check valves. That's right. If you're using check valves, a lot of them need maintenance. If you're using one in your return pump, for instance, I know you can buy the ones that screw open, like the dual union ones, and you can clean them out. So something you got to check. I used to use a check valve. I took it off. The Ecotech Vectra M1 that I'm using now, it doesn't fully turn off. It goes to like a low power mode, so it's a trickle, so it never fully back siphons. If it did, my sump could still handle it, but I have that and I have it on a battery backup. So even if the power is out, it can be out for like 5 days before whatever finally bite the dust. So it goes for a while. But yeah, check valves, make sure you clean it if you're using them. Because if there's a snail, something caught in there, it's just going to slow it down. It's not going to stop it. Clean the probes. I've been buying new ones. Yes, definitely clean them. Same thing. Vinegar, like a light vinegar water solution, same thing, 50-50, throw in there for 10-15 minutes. If there's anything on it, you can use like just a very soft toothbrush and just give it a light little thing. A lot of them have glass and stuff inside, so you don't want to be too harsh on it, but a lot of them aren't too bad. They're easy enough to clean. Calibration on the temp probe. I have not calibrated my temp probes in a long time. That's a good call. I should check that again.
Yeah, it's something you should do on a regular basis too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good call. I haven't tested that in ages, but I do have a little laser one. I'll go look at it later and see how close it is to what I'm getting on the reading. But yeah, temp probe, something I haven't calibrated in ages. A great point. pH probe, haven't done that one in many months, so I actually bought some calibration solution this weekend, so it's on the to-do list. That and actually setting up the doser on the Nano. I've tested it. No, I haven't tested it, I lie. I've just been doing weekly water changes, but I want to get that doser dialed in pretty soon. Dalton, big plans for the new system, feeling ambitious. It's fun to go big. You got a lot of room and options. Half my motivation to upgrade to a larger tank was because I ran out of corals in a small tank. And corals, to me, are like the addicting part of this hobby. The fish draw you in and the corals hook you.
Yes. I started with a couple fish and now I'm up to like 18 corals.
Yep, exactly. No, I got yeah, I didn't know the clip, but I got a really nice red acro, millipora.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful one, and then some other yellow one, which was expensive. It's like $65 for this little frag. It wasn't cheap, but I've been after trying to find yellow for so long. I'm like, I have to get it.
Yeah. Sometimes you find something you fall in love with, you gotta get it, even though there's a cost.
I know. I'm like, it was like $20 cheaper in this big colony for this one little frag. I'm like, argh. But yeah, I've tried so hard to find yellow acros, and it's such a challenge. So hopefully it stays yellow, but so far so good. Anyone know a good acrylic sump builder? Reefing with O just got a fancy acrylic sump, if you're still on Seymour. Where that came from. I've only ever done glass ones. I've never done acrylic.
Yes, I did.
I have a Sonic with K.
Okay, what was that? Sorry? All right, I'll go first. Where'd you just get your sump from?
The City Reef sump. Acrylic sump. It was made to fit exactly in the Red Sea Reefer, and it's sort of their version of like a Triton method sump, where it has a big refugium.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like it. It's much nicer than the default sump that the Red Sea tanks came with, because I think that sump is not very flexible, and it has compartments that are not really used. So I haven't done a video on it yet, but I do like it.
So how big of a Chaeto refugium are you putting on your new one? Or is it, since it's already on there?
I think it's 11 gallons by my measure. So it's 11 gallons. 11 gallons, which is more than 10%, because the tank is 71 gallons. The display tank is 71. The sump is 26 total. So having the refugium as 10 gallons brings it more than 10%.
Yeah.
And then I have some light on it, and so far it's doing its job. I gotta say I like it.
Nope, that's awesome. I've been toying with the idea of ditching my filter socks, moving my skimmer over to the next chamber, and using that giant chamber for Chaeto. And having like a really big Chaeto area. Now that being said, my Chaeto reactor is working really well, and it looks like there's a log of Chaeto in there. I'm kind of excited to open one day to see how thick it is, because I haven't emptied that baby in probably a month and a half now. And there's pods. I did a little Instagram post the other day, and there's tons of pods and little creatures in there. So I mean, it's working well, but I'm still tempted to try that giant refugium area.
Ditched my filter socks, and I never looked back. I mean, when I pulled the Chaeto out, I mean, when you have a thick mass of Chaeto in there, it traps a lot of detritus.
Yep.
So I have a ton of pods, and when you're taking out the Chaeto, so right now I find not to release it and basically cloud the tank. It's like a chemical balancing act where I turn off the pumps. I put a little, so my sump, I can put some filter floss. So what I do is when I'm doing changes, you know, I stick some filter floss in, and I'm a little bit careful that I just pull the entire mat up and take off what I need, so I don't disturb too much detritus on it.
Yep.
And then what I do is every plan is to I've only been running the sump for about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. But my plan is every 2 months just vacuum some detritus out of the bottom of the sump where it settles. But I haven't seen any difference in nutrients. And I still have an area where if I want to do some major change, like tomorrow I'm going to be doing some re-aquascaping. And I'm going to put a little bit of floss in because I expect a lot of stuff to be kicked up. So just having the option of some floss or something, it's sort of like my backup plan. But I'm not missing having to swap out filter socks every few days.
Now, just throwing this out because Eric just mentioned it. He just got the new D&D roller mat. He's like, "Oh man, I haven't changed socks in 6 weeks." I've actually been looking and debating that very one because it's thin and I can put it in the same area the filter socks are now. I do like that design of it, so I've actually debated that. So keep me updated on that one, Eric. I'm really curious to see how you like that one. Reef Ghost. I know someone that has a small nano tank on Triton. Can you possibly ask how long his tank was stable on Triton? Because he didn't start from scratch. I'm assuming that's for you, because I know you're you like your Triton.
Put the tank up last year, June, July, and then I put the tank on Triton in August, like 2 months later.
Okay.
But before that, it was just water changes, I guess, and then I put the tank on Triton. So far, it's working well. I think the one thing with Triton that I do on the Nano is I dilute the Triton solutions. I think I dilute it by 1 part Triton to 5 part RODI water, and then I dose, multiply whatever the dosage is by 5. I think it kind of spreads it out in a Nano a little bit more, so it's dispersed easier. Also, I don't think my doser is accurate when you're dosing 1 mil at a time, so I try not to dose under 2 mils each time.
Yep.
It's a coral box doser. I like it, but I think when you're dosing half a mil or a mil at a time, I don't think it's very accurate.
Yeah.
So I try to do mils.
I've got somewhere in my office like a 1 mil graduated cylinder, so I was actually gonna try calibrating it down to 1 mil and seeing how accurate it is. It's on my future test list. So I'm curious to see if it drifts or not.
Try it and please let me know.
I will.
I've tried to calibrate. Mine didn't hold the calibration long, but I think
the one it came with was 10 mil increments. So 1 mil will be like a huge change. So it'll be interesting.
I think it does have calibration option for it allows you to choose 1 or 10, but I found that at 1 it didn't hold the calibration for long. And since the Triton solutions are so concentrated, in a nano tank, if it doses in a big tank like maybe a 75 or your size tank, if you do 1.1 mil each time versus 1, I don't think it's a big deal. But with Triton, because the stuff is so concentrated in a nano tank, 1.1 mil versus a mil, over the course of a day, I think 3 or 4 times you end up with I think it can cause issues. It can cause swings. So I just, go the safe route.
Yep. No, that's true. Okay. So I have 3 different doses right now. I have the Neptune dose, I have a Jabo, and I have the Coral Box. And I do agree on that. I wouldn't necessarily try doing like a partial mil. Like the Jabo won't let me. The Coral Box would. I don't know how accurate that would be. Like the Neptune one I trust because that one's super slow, giant stepper mode. It's very precise. But yeah, for doing trace elements and stuff, that would be a little bit harder. I'm doing trace elements on my Jabo now, but I only do it every other day to kind of balance out the slight inaccuracies. But if you're doing, Triton, again, very small, it depends on how much you're dosing in a nano, right? But if you're doing a large tank and you're dosing a few mils, then that half a mil off isn't a big deal. So it really depends on how much you're dosing and what. Miss Lurker, the World Fox, use digital scales to calibrate. That's actually a very good call. Weighing it would be probably the most precise way to do it. Robert Scott just subscribed. Robert, if you're in the stream, welcome. 5.5. Okay, so you're asking about how long Chemi Pure lasts. He says normally lasts 3 to 4 months in my nano. So that's pretty good. So that's from Bubba. How long did I use it? I change it my jellyfish tank probably every couple months. And when using the Red Sea tank, I bought a bunch. I haven't used it. I'm just using the Red Sea carbon right now, but I also have Chemi Pure whenever I run out. But I tend to buy stuff in bulk, so I have lots of it for whenever it runs out. But
someone said the Apex dose is great down to the mil. Yes.
Yep.
I did find that the only thing with the dose is they are so big. So in my apartment and the Red Sea tanks is an option. But I'll tell you, I am planning on moving. So my dose, I'm definitely going to be reconnecting my dose and using them. But I found that they were accurate and kept calibration down. I haven't had the GHL dose or 2.1 long enough And so far, every time I've tested, it's held its calibration so far. I had the dose for a year plus. I think I had them for almost 2 years, so I have longer experience with those. But I love my dose, and I like having everything integrated with the Apex. But for now, where space is an option, I kind of like the GHL.
Yeah, nice. Well, if you ever want to get rid of that second dose, just send me a big box of stuff. I've been thinking about adding a second one for down the road for doing like automated water changes one day on my future to-do list once I move the tank. Huh?
No more automated water changes.
No more?
Ooh, no. I mean, I can't see myself going to it anymore. There's so many systems these days where you can keep nutrients low. So the next tank I build, I'll build it with like oversized filtration. Where I'd rather do that. I'm not saying I won't do water changes. I can't see myself setting up something where I'll need to do automated water changes. But you know what? You know me. We're always open. Our mind. Yeah, I'm always open. I might find that this does not work for me at all. But for now,
this is true. It's true. Rip Van Wickle, good morning. I always use charcoal. It was good for 4 days. Okay, so carbon essentially will use up the majority of its effectiveness in the first few days, but it will still work for a while. So it depends. Chemi-Free Blue, they say you can get a couple months out of it. The charcoal I use in my tank, or carbon, I change that every 4 to 6 weeks probably. But yes, its most effectiveness is up front, and then it does, as it gets clogged, it's less effective over that. It still works to an extent until it gets fully the pores clogged, but it depends how much particles. Like if you're sucking it straight out of your tank and it's getting mucked up with particles right away versus running after a filter sock versus, because it's really those particles plugging the pores of it that really does it. I no longer use ChemiPure. I was wondering what other reefers question. Calcium reactors for me. Can't sleep at night with dosing pumps tempting the fate of my tank. I've used both. I've never had an issue with the dosing pump, but I mean, if you ever had one that got stuck on or something, I could definitely see the issue there. But so far, I've never had an issue with mine. Calcium reactors, I got a couple of you guys were talking about Geos and other ones in the comments. The one I used was like some ghetto one. I literally gave a guy a case of beer for it. Plumbing was like covered in silicone. It was very ghetto. I literally took everything apart, kept the clear cylinder, put on a new DC pump that was quieter, redid all the plumbing. I basically rebuilt it, but I had a super ghetto one, but did the job.
That's funny.
Yep. So Bubba, I use Rocks carbon now for only a few days a month. I have like 3 or 4 different types of carbon I just mixed together. I think I got Rocks in there. I got some Fluval stuff. I got some other bulk stuff, and I just mix them all together and see what I can come up with. Breakfast calls. Nice. Making me hungry. I always get hungry. All these live streams, everyone always ends up talking about food at some point. Never fails.
That, and they talk about lights.
Lights, yeah, lighting and food. It's the basic of reef tanks. You gotta feed stuff. You gotta give it light. Light is kind of food for photosynthesis. I see the correlation here. So be good. Alright guys, any other main questions in the chat? Or the voice chat, either one.
Nothing for me.
I just wanted to add something to calcium reactors. So for me, I live in an apartment, so pH, wife and 2 kids, especially now where it's cold outside, windows are closed. So my pH is always depressed. So that's why calcium reactors are not like an option for me.
Yeah.
That could change. But yeah, I imagine the prospect of dosing CO2, of any kind of CO2 hitting the tank, is not very, it's not gonna. I already have my pH drops down to like 7.7 at night. So
prior, when I had a calcium reactor, my pH was never above 8. It was always like that 7.9 type of range. So but the biggest thing, like I added the same thing with you, right? I added a tiny little dinky RODI line to outside to pull in outside air to my skimmer, and that's a huge improvement in pH. Since I've done that, I'm never below 8 now. So that is by far the biggest bang for your buck if pH is an issue. If you're using calcium, anything with low pH, calcium reactor. The other thing that some people do, they'll use kalkwasser or pickling lime kalkwasser. You drip that in, that will also raise up your pH. It absorbs the CO2 and will raise it up. So there's nothing you can do, but that's, you're spending money on it every month and stuff. Or if you just can crack a window or sneak in a little airline from somewhere to your skimmer to let it suck it in, that's going to do a huge improvement on your pH. And then it's free, right? You do it once and you're good. So,
I'll tell you another.
Yep.
I'll tell you another thing. So, one of the things I liked about change skimmers when I changed sumps. So, one of the reasons I got that Vertex Omega skimmer, oversized skimmer, is because it drew so much air. It drew 1,300 liters per hour of air. And it actually, that's one of the reasons I chose it.
Yeah.
So much air. And the fact that I switched to a Tunzi now, which the max air draw is 600 liters, that's less than half. That's also probably one of the reasons now where, even though I'm still pulling in air from the outside, I'm not pulling as much, so my pH is a little bit lower. So last week, I on a live stream, Tristan, I think you've met him over in Rico streams a lot. He actually Kalkwasser, but it's not his main form of issue of replacing calcium and alkalinity. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start, my ATO is about 20 gallons. So I am going to start putting just a bucket every time I refill it, just one bucket of saturated Kalkwasser in it. Sort of like,
just a pH
my
boost.
dose. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do it.
Let me know how that goes. I'm curious. A lot of people do it, especially with calcium reactors, they do it. And the same thing, pH boost, plus it's a little bit of a ease up on your calcium alkalinity dosing, so.
I don't, the Triton's method, which I'm on, is balance calcium, alkalinity, magnesium. And the fact that I'm going to have to turn everything down, and the fact that, Kalkwasser is only calcium and alkalinity and not magnesium. So there might be a balancing act where I have to periodically dose magnesium, or I might have to, within the Triton method, just dose a little bit more magnesium than normal. So there might be a little bit of a balancing act there, but I think I'll be able to figure it out. I'm going to try it.
You should. And keep me updated. Joe, awesome show. I've learned so much. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for being here. Always appreciated. Retro Reefs, dual reactor or single? Patrick, thank you for subscribing if you're here. Much appreciated. So on your question, dual or single, it really depends if you have a pH issue. I made a DIY second chamber because that second chamber gives more time for the media to absorb that more acidic water, which is the CO2 in the water. So it's going to raise your pH a little bit. I think I had about a 0.1, or I believe that's what it was from adding the second chamber for the boost in pH. I did crazy tons of testing when I did it. So that added about 0.1 pH. So you will get a little more efficientness out of your calcium reactor having a second chamber, as well as it's going to boost your pH a bit more. So if you can get it, it's nice to have. If your pH is nice and high, you might not care. It might not be a big issue, but that's kind of the whole thing on it. Love the dose, but yeah, so big. Separate cabinet for it. I like to keep the stuff near I don't like to keep that stuff near the sump anyways. Yeah, the dose is definitely, it's big. If you actually take it apart and look inside, they're like massive stepper motors versus the ones in like the Jabo, which is like this dinky little motor. I have some motors kicking around somewhere. I think they're outside, but I'll show you guys next time.
Let me just, in addition to that, my thoughts. So I talk about the GHL doser, what I like.
Yep.
So GHL doser is made for dosing. I don't think it can do a lot more than that. So what Neptune system has done, I think, is over-engineered their pump to be able to do everything. So if you sort of want, so it can do water changes, it can do small amounts, it's a stepper motor. And I think what GHL has done is sort of separate them into two different products, because GHL just released a pump, which looks very similar to the Neptune system's dose. But, so basically they've made up, if you want to do like stuff like that, you buy a separate pump, while the dose is sort of an all-in-one. It can do small amounts, it can also do water changes. So, just kind of, I've spoken before, not here, about, just GHL versus Neptune, but I want to throw it out there. I think the dose is a good all-in-one. And I probably am going to go back to them once I, get into a different build.
Yeah. I will get another one eventually. My plan forward is to do automated water changes. That being said, I know, like, I do a lot of stuff. I'll do trades and stuff with stores for credit, and that's what I use to splurge on my fancy things. Just buying it for $300 or $400 is a harder stretch, but if you can get it at a bit of a deal, buy a used one, then I think it's a great way to go. But it is reliable, it works well, and it if you have an Apex, which you kind of need one for that, but it's super easy to program. I just say I want to dose 50 mils from this time to this time, and it breaks it up for you. Like I think mine doses like 0.9 of a mil every like 12 minutes or something. So super stable that way, right? You're getting tons of those micro doses rather than doing one big dose. So you're just drip feeding your tank as it needs it, and it keeps things nice and stable.
Also,
just quick
replacing the head.
Yeah. Quick thanks to Eric. Thank you for firing me that picture of that D&D, the Carib Sea roller mat. I've been debating one of those, actually, so appreciate seeing those photos of it. That's one thing I debated with getting rid of the socks, is trying one of those little skinny little roller mat style designs. Some good potential there. Would I just miss something? Doesn't pertain to maintenance, but has anyone done any reading on coral pigment expression vs tissue damage from spectral peaks at varied par? Having a good hoot of fun reading it. Okay, so on that note, with the coral spectrums, okay, this could be a whole live stream. This might be one in the future. The quick rundown on it. So the light you're putting on your corals receives a certain intensity or micromoles or light output per day, right? So if I'm giving this coral glass 100, like this light's 100 micromoles, right? If you test with the par meter and it's reading 100, you're getting that's a point in time, right? So if you calculate that point in time per hour, and your lights are on for 1 hour, so you're getting 100. If it's on for 8 hours, you're getting 800 or 1,000 micromoles, whatever it is per day. Now, corals have a certain happy range, and if you give them too much, they're going to shut down, and they're going to be more in a protective mode rather than a growth mode. So you can actually stunt their growth. There was a really good talk on Macna. They were kind of showing one in a low tide pool, and it was getting so much light. Chris, thank you for subscribing, buddy. Hopefully you're in here. I appreciate you. So hopefully when they're growing, you're potentially stunting the growth, and you're not getting any benefit out of that extra light. So now there's two different ways of looking at this. You could have your light on for 6 hours at a higher intensity, or 12 hours at half the intensity, and at the end of the day, you're still getting the same amount of light on the coral. But the only thing is, if you're putting too much light, you could be potentially prohibiting growth in the coral if it's too much. I mean, every coral is potentially different. I don't know if there's an easy way to know exactly how that was. The video I watched on that concept with the one example, the one in the low tide pool, they're showing different parts of the coral and the growth and how it was stunted and growing based on how much light it received in direct sunlight in the shadows area and all that stuff. So it's fairly interesting. But I will do a live stream on this sometime soon, because yeah, it's definitely a pretty deep and depth topic. So it'll be a good one. So Eric, I use a calcium reactor now instead of Triton, and I run fluent into a second chamber with a smaller calcium meter to buffer the pH back up. pH in my tank is 8 to 8.3. You're right in the perfect range, so that sounds like it's doing awesome. When I did it, a couple things that I did with the calcium reactor, I had a second chamber, and I also tried doing a drip cup with an air stone in it to kind of boost it all up. And all that actually did help, but honestly, that little tiny airline out into the skimmer intake is the biggest boost I've got out of anything I've experimented with on the tank, so it's hard to beat that one.
Hey, Devin, there's a question earlier up by Falcon Quake. Let me just read it. $100 Aquatic Life cartridge Rody or BRS $185 one with TDS meter, I guess, and a couple other features. Which one would he use? So I've used both of those.
Perfect.
I like the BRS unit because it's so modular. Like, you have the Aquatic Life unit, and I guess when the stuff is finished, it's sort of hard to troubleshoot what is what. So with the BRS unit, you actually pay more money up front, and it comes to replacing individual things. Like carbon block is going to be, like you can get it for a few bucks, or replace the carbon block, and then the sediment filter is going to be a few bucks. But your RO membrane is going to last years, and your DI resin, depending on where you are and how your source water is. But I like the BRS unit.
What was the second option? Let's quickly look it up.
Aquatic Life, $100. It's like $100. It's called Aquatic Life RO Buddy.
Okay.
Or there's the twist in too. I use the twist in, which is bigger than the RO Buddy, and it's pretty good.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about. Okay, so the one big complaint about the Aquatic Life one, it's very compact, but those little cartridges are semi-proprietary, you can buy them, but they're harder to find, right? Because they use RO connectors or all-in-one sealed, where if you get one that takes the regular cartridges, you can find those anywhere. They're really easy to find replacement cartridges. So regardless of the brand, because you can put, the 10-inch cartridges are pretty standard, so you can put in different membranes, different RO, different sediment. It doesn't really matter, but I would try and get one that took the standard cartridges. That'd be like my biggest tips on that one.
Place like the DI and the little, I think it's going to be expensive. I was going to say, in New York where we are, source water is very good. But I got the US unit, and then for instance, I just did an upgrade where I did the dual membrane, so I made water now twice as fast and waste even little water. But if you have the,
you're a bit choppy, but trying to decipher.
Yeah, if you have the twist one, there's not much you can do in terms of upgrading faster. So I think if you have the money to do 185. But if space is an issue, then I would do I would look at one of the other options. But I think long term, the BRS 185, the BRS RODI unit for 185 is a better option and is going to give you more flexibility going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. If you have a little extra cash, buy the BRS or any brand that takes the standard cartridges. A little bit bigger, but it's easy to reply. Sorry, go ahead.
I had the RO buddy, and that thing did not push water for crap for me. And I bought the BRS 5-stage, dual membrane, blah, 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 all the fancy bells and whistles on it. And I'm pushing out so much water, it's not even funny. And I'm telling you, it was well worth the money, and I don't regret it one bit.
No.
And I'm getting 0 TDS out still, and I've had this thing for a few months. I only paid $27 for it brand new because my mom and my girl gave me $100 each for Christmas, and then Bulk Supply had the sale on the RO systems. I'm like, oh, $27 shipped to my door. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Super cheap. So
yeah, might as well, definitely.
Exactly. So my opinion, how high do you let the TDS go before changing filters and DI? So after the filters, I generally will let it go. Probably I'm going to say 4 or 5 when I'd be like, okay, it's time to change it. The DI, it should be 0 coming out of DI. If it's anything above 0, I will change the DI filter. Now on mine, I have dual DI, so it's kind of like backup. So if one filter starts to exhaust, the next one will catch it, right? If I know one's starting to go up, then I'll just move that one over and put a new one as a secondary. But yeah, definitely, it depends on your source water, because most filters are going to be in your 96 to 97% rejection rate, right? So if you're getting 100 TDS coming in, you can expect 2 or 3 TDS potentially coming out of it. The other thing is to flush your filter. When you first turn on your RODI filter, it's going to be really high TDS because you're going to have TDS creep. So you can put a flush valve on it, flush it, and it's going to help raise or flush off all the extra bits of garbage and stuff that's built up in there. Now, the other thing that I do is I flush it. I have one flush for the membrane. I have a second flush that flushes after the output but before the DI. So what that does is makes your DI last way longer. So I will open the one valve to give it like a 30-second flush on the membrane, and then I'll open the other valve and flush it and let it run for a minute or two. And that'll bring my TDS down to like 1. Like, it gets rid of almost everything. So it makes a huge difference on doing it. Melanie Simpson, $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Melanie. Lots of info in a professional but fun way. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
See, and I agree with y'all on the DIs. That BRS unit is better for, like y'all said, flexibility and total output. I bought the Aquatic Life just because I really don't run that much water, and it's compact. So I guess that's the deciding factor. If for me, it was at least. Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but it's easier.
The other thing to consider too is how high is your source water. If you have really dirty high source water, bigger and more filters is going to help you out more, right? If you have very clean source water, you can get away with less.
So it's perfect for me because I don't run a lot of RODI.
I have to run a lot of RODI. I got a 93-gallon, a 13.5, and I'm about to put up another, I think about 100-gallon tank soon here. So I got to push a lot of water. So that RODI BRS is definitely worth the money for me.
Yeah, that's what. If you had a Nano and you're in an apartment, then it may not be worth it because it's big, it's bulky, it's designed for high volume. Right. But if you're, if you're in small, then I would say look at that twist in, not the RODI, buddy. If you have clean water, you're in an apartment, you're flush for space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't.
That's just my opinion.
All water.
Yep. Another kind of tip for you guys too, like when you can buy any like cheaper RO filter, whatever. Like the first one I bought wasn't even reefing; it was just something I bought off a classified site for $30 and just added on my own filter. Like you can add on extra cartridges, you can add on a flush valve from Home Depot and a few parts. Like those little John Guy's quick connects are a couple bucks each, and you can add the stuff on. But the biggest thing to save that DI, though, is adding in that valve and flushing it before the DI and letting it flush for a minute or two, then run it through there, because it's going to get rid of all that TDS creep. And the longer an RO system runs, the more efficient the water becomes, the better it's at filtering. So
you flush it just before the DI or before both the RO and the DI?
So I have two flush kits. One's for the membrane, so that just flushes, basically gets rid of the restrictor on the waste and lets it flow through. And then the second one is I'd heat it off before it hits the DI, and I flush it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second one you're cutting off the DI.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The first one you're cutting off the carbon and sediment and just letting the RO run?
It's just flushing the wastewater, actually. So on the end, you have a restrictor valve, right? And it's how it forces water through the main cartridges by restricting how much it lets go out the wastewater, in a sense.
Okay.
So you're basically bypassing that, and it just lets the water flow through. So any of those extra bit of sediments, like the TDS creep, it will help just flush it out. And then the second one is just because if you have a TDS meter on it and you watch it run, when you first turn it on, it might be really high, then over the next minute or so, it's going to drop down pretty quickly. So I flush that water out, so that's my TDS or my DI resin isn't eating all that higher TDS water, and that makes it last a long time.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, how I need to flush my twist in.
Yep.
Because there is no way to put flush valves on it, but it comes with little flush caps.
Yeah, so, okay.
You pop the cartridge out and put the cap in. I've got two caps.
Okay, but right before it goes in your DI, put a little T valve or a little Y valve in there, and just take that one and put it to another valve and just pipe it to the drain. Or water your plants or garden, whatever. But, yeah,
yeah, see, I can't do that. It's all built in. So I just have to put the cap in, twist the DI out, put the cap in, and it would just run water out.
Yep, that would work too.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, if you have the hose, though, just cut in, get a little Y pipe or T, one of those little push fittings, and do it yourself. So you don't have to unscrew it.
You can't do that on that thing, though. It's all hard pipe in the back.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, you could do that. I mean, you don't have to, but it's just going to make your DI last longer, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Mage mentioned earlier that that the water pressure coming in. I live on the third floor, so I use a booster pump to get any kind of decent water pressure. If not, I get about 20 psi, so I need to use a booster pump. A booster pump to get it up to about 80.
Okay, yeah.
But the pressure coming in, and the water temperature also. At night like tonight where it's cold, if I use straight cold water from my tap, no matter what pressure I put on it, my RO system is less efficient. So I think temperature plays a little part.
Yep.
But also pressure has to do then. Mage is saying if you need high pressure, then you buy the extra piece. Yeah, I had to get a booster pump. I need to use a booster pump. Third floor, apartment, I get 20 psi if I don't use a booster pump. So with a booster pump, I can get it up to maybe 80, 90 sometimes, which increases the efficiency of my filter.
Yeah, with the higher pressure, it's more efficient, and you'll get higher throughput. So it's kind of win-win.
Hey, Dev, I wanted to go back to something that was mentioned by Miss Lurker, the worker fox. She was speaking about the chloramines and chlorine in the water source. And where I live, I actually have two different water sources. And I could have TDS in the summertime over 800, and then in the wintertime come down to about 150. And I know my water source, but I think it's important that other people know in their city, because the block can kind of make or break that chloramine. So if you're using the wrong actual block inside that RODI unit, it could actually still leach into your water and cause an algae issue in the future.
Yep. So, yeah.
Did anybody... Go ahead, Dev.
Oh, first of all, Falcon Quick, $1.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. I know you're on an iPhone because it does 99 cents. But yeah, much appreciated. Thank you, buddy. No problem for the help. Any questions you have, always fire away. Other point about the chloramine. So chloramine is nasty with RODI filters. You can buy a separate overly priced filter for it. It's kind of an unnecessary evil if you have it in your water, but it can destroy your RO membrane faster if it's in your water, so you do want to make sure you buy one, or buy that filter to add in if it is something in your water. And I know BRS and other places sell a test kit to test and see if your water has it, or contact your water district and ask them, what's going on? What is happening? Cool, want $100 each. Fancy fire goby. It's like purple firefish. They're really cool. I had one, but unfortunately it jumped on me. And this was sadly when my tank cracked back in the day, my Nano. So I had it in my, literally just got it, and it was in my temporary tank, and I had like some piece of glass over top of it, but it found a hole and jumped, and that sucked because it was a cool fish. So Death Mage started my tank with tap water and don't have any LGG. Death Mage, you got lucky. I mean, it's Russian roulette, right? It really depends on your source water. You might have pristine, already pre-filtered water. You might have a bunch of silicates and other stuff that's going to be trouble in your water. So it's Russian roulette if you're not using RODI.
Did any of y'all hear about the horror story that happened, I guess, about 6 months ago down here in Louisiana?
What happened?
One of the freshwater guys shared it. So the water treatment plant, it's about 45 minutes from me. The water treatment plant there dumped 10 times the amount of chloramine they were supposed to in the water. They left the valve open, and it killed all his tanks and ponds and everything.
Ouch. Yikes. That's sketchy.
I killed very mad. Everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might be worth checking, just on a note, asking, like, calling up whoever your water district is and asking them. Like, I called mine and asked them if they had anything to the water, because a year ago or so, I had a bunch of SPS to start, like, biting the dust on me. I'm like, what the heck? And I heard a few other people the same thing. But apparently I called and asked, and apparently they don't change anything in their water between seasons and whatnot. But it was a weird coincidence, so I still questioned a bit. But yeah, definitely just call them up and ask them, too, if you don't want to test it yourself. Usually they post the results every few months, at least the few that I've looked at have. Lucky we filtered chlorine. They're going to start using chloramine, and I was not very happy. Yeah, it sucks if they do, because it's more of a pain for reefers. DC and I were trying to find yellow corals at HOT, whatever that is. Guess you got the last one. I don't think I posted Instagram yet, but I finally... you have no idea how long it actually took me to get a yellow coral. It's been on my... I found a yellow sponge a while ago I got from a buddy, but actual yellow corals, I think, potentially might be... Let's see if this shows up. Someone said it might be a watermelon. Oh, it doesn't show up. You can kind of see it. But, yeah, I'll Instagram it later. But, yeah, super cool. Inappropriate Reefer! $4.99 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Cheers to you. Much appreciated. And Inappropriate Reefer, awesome guy. If you haven't checked him out, make sure you check out his channel. Same goes for Aaron's Aquarium that was on here earlier. Another great YouTuber. Since they're both here, and on that note, we do another show called The Four Reefers that we try and do an episode every week or two. And the four of us get on together and we talk about different aspects of the hobby. We generally try and pick a topic and go around and kind of get each other's opinions on it. So it's Inappropriate Reefer, Aaron's Aquarium, CJ's Aquarium, and myself. So it's a fun little side video. The other thing is we rotate whose channel we post it to, so you guys kind of follow all of us if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's a fun show, and I did an episode a couple weeks ago, and if you guys have any special requests for future episodes, leave it in the comments of that video. Otherwise, that's generally what we do. Otherwise, we just pick a topic, but it's always good to give the people what they want. The real challenge is keeping yellow corals yellow and not green. I 100% agree. I'm really hoping this yellow one stays yellow. Fingers are crossed. Devin Dice out on t-shirts yet? No, I have not. Those are the couple. The one in the logo on the top left is my backup plan, except the dudes would probably be white. And then the blue may or may not have the outline around it. I just want something for Reefapalooza, just for fun. So we'll see. Basically, depends on how you print it. If you do the heat transfer printing, you can get away with more colors, but it's not as nice, I guess. I don't know, we'll see. I might just get one the next time I do it, try a different method. But with silk screening, they charge you per color, per shirt. So the more colors you add. So I've been trying to find ways to simplify. I'm back and forth, but I'll probably make a couple designs eventually, and just for fun. Then I can have a different shirt for different videos, but that's the kind of one. 4 Reefers rocked. Falcon Quick, much appreciated. DC still have to check your tank in person. That'd be pretty cool. Definitely should. If you guys can meet up together, it's awesome. Like, it's it's fun. I don't know. I love going to people's houses and meeting new reefers and trading corals. Like, yours comes over, you just come up in a big conversation, but it's always fun to get little like local tank tours and stuff. I may try and organize one this spring and maybe I'll probably shoot some video if I do it, but go check out a bunch of other local people's tanks.
My reef club that I'm in, they do like almost monthly frag swaps. Not frag swaps. I'm sorry, white elephant frag swaps. So it's actually pretty cool. I got an elegance coral out of one of them once.
Oh, nice. That's all right. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, frag swaps are honestly like trading frags to the reefers is the way to go. Like, I always do it.
No, it was a white elephant gift. We all brought random frags and then we drew numbers, and whoever number you drew, well, that's the order you grab a frag out of the tank.
That's cool.
I got lucky and won a free elegance out of it.
Huh. Very cool. That's a decent frag. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I try something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because I had a little piece of rock that had 4 little mushrooms on it. They were decent sized, and 2 guys were fighting over it. They wanted it. I'm like, dude, it's just mushrooms. It's not even like any fancy mushrooms. It's a regular mushrooms. Chill. Nice.
You never know. I like the recordias. I don't like the green mushrooms just because they take over too much. But there's, I got you can't really see it, but it's hard to point on the screen. In there's like bright yellow orangey ones. Those guys are cool. And I took most of my recordias and threw them in the nano tank. But
I have recordias between the 2 tanks.
Nice. Hey Tina. Welcome.
And they're all different colors too, which is really nice.
So honestly, the colors are like the big draw to this hobby for me. All the different crazy colors and stuff you get, that's the amazing part. It still amazes me that some of the stuff's like natural. Like the video doesn't quite do it justice, but I mean with like that UV and the blues and stuff, just the colors and the pop is just crazy. Some of the corals.
Oh yeah, I have a neon orange. I'm talking about like neon orange. This thing glows when the light turns blue.
Nice.
And then I got another dark orange, but it's still really cool. But it's like, because that one's got it's like black with the orange polyps all over it. And this one, the other one, like I said, is neon orange under a white one. It's really weird, but I love them. I love recordias. They just got, like you said, all these beautiful colors. You get so many colors.
Oh, and it's beautiful. Love it. So, question anyone in the chat: is anyone else going to Reefapalooza?
Nope.
Nobody? Somebody must be going. It's like the first show I'm ever actually going to, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But anyone's going to Reefapalooza?
Too far away.
In Orlando. Most far away. I'm on the West Coast. It's really far from me. So if anyone is going, let me know. It'd be fun to meet up with some of you guys. I think it'd be pretty awesome.
I wish I could.
Yeah. Live in Memphis, Tennessee. Nothing here. 6 months. I'm moving to Utah. Then going to Magna. I'm assuming that's Magna in Vegas. I am going to Magna in Vegas too. I haven't booked it, but I plan on going. So, never been to a reef show, and then this year's like the year. Just hit them all. Well, those 2.
I'm hoping they do Magna back here in New Orleans in a couple of years.
Yeah, that would be good. I think everyone should go to Vegas. Vegas is honestly, I don't know about for wherever you guys are located, but for me, Vegas is a couple $100. You can get flight and hotel. Like it's probably one of the cheapest places to go for like a mini vacation. So
when is Magna?
Magna is off memory like September 7th to 9th or 6th, 7th, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Early September.
If they do Magna here, they need to do it a little later. Like November, early November, because then you're after hurricane season.
Nice.
I know that was a big problem this year with Magna.
Yeah, in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing actually really happened though, but I know it was pretty.
No, but it's still the scare factor because it doesn't take much for one of those to turn. And
that's fair.
That's the thing. Down here for us, I mean, we're used to it. You know, Category 1 hurricane, it's like,
yeah,
okay, I'm off of work. Let's go get a case of beer.
Yeah.
Case of beer and barbecue. Let's have it. Category 2, it's like, okay, we're going to board the windows and break out the whiskey. You start getting in the 3 to 5 range, and it's like, yeah, we might need to look at it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's good to know. I have not been in a hurricane, but yeah, that would be. Depends how big it is. DC ReefDudes merch on Instagram. Okay, on that note, I did a bit of a collaboration with Perkin Clown or Perkin OC Clownfish. He designed shirts. So he designed a ReefDudes one, and if anyone does get that one, I don't have it in here, it's my bedroom, but I do have one. But basically, if anyone buys that one, any of the profits is 100% going to charity. Is going to one of the Reefing Save the Ocean foundations. So that was kind of a for fun little collaboration we did. But I do have that one. Could wear that one as a backup plan. But I still want to make one with the logo for Reefapalooza. Need something cool. On the side note, you have no idea how much work it is trying to design a shirt. I went through so many in the last few days. Doesn't help that I'm probably indecisive and change it 800 times, but still fun. Going to the one in NYC. Lots of people are going to the New York one. Maybe next year I'll attempt to see if I can make New York work. A lot of you seem to be going there. From what I understand, Vegas can go either way, really cheap or really expensive. Yeah, it's far enough away that it's probably worth just watching for a seat sale if you do plan on going. Because usually, I mean, sometime over a couple of months, they do pop up. Bubbly, hopefully still brainstorming. Alright, Gaz, any other questions? What are we at? 2 hours. It's been a long stream so far. Anything else? Any other specific questions? Testing, maintenance, any type of stuff? Let me know. Or actually, at this point, any random questions. How many gallons is that tank? The one behind me is a little over 100. It's between 5.5 to 6 feet long, 20 wide, 18 tall. I have roughly 100 to 120 gallons, somewhere in that range. There will be a new one soon. Very similar, except about 2 inches longer and 4 inches taller, 4 or 5 inches wider. That's kind of my basic plan for it. And so I'm sneaking in a mini upgrade. So that's going to happen sometime, probably this spring. The guys building the tank, I know they're doing renos, so I'm not really in a huge rush to do it, because I know it's going to be a lot of work, but sometime this spring. Yeah, so many of you guys are going to New York Reefapalooza, so I may attempt to do that. I've never been to New York, so it might be a cool one to attempt to go to next year. Basically, the deciding factor goes if I can find a cheap flight or not to justify it. I know New York is a pricey place. So, if any of you guys do head to Reefapalooza, hit me up. And if you guys don't, message me on Facebook is probably the easy way. Facebook.com/group/ReefDudes. If any of you guys aren't in there, let's kind of hang out, random chat group questions and stuff. So check that out. Dev should check out the new. They won't happen this year. There's no way I can afford that one and the other one this year. But next year, I'll see what I can do. Chris Boyle, getting a 300 gallon plus built. Do you suggest a dosing pump or a calcium reactor? On 300 gallons, I would go for a calcium reactor. People always ask, like, what's the borderline? It's a little hard to say. Steph! What's going on, Steph? So on 300, I would do that. Basically, you can do dosing. Dosing works just as well. But the bigger thing is, whatchamacallit, the dosing media. If you can get 2-part for cheap, then dosing works fine. But if you're, the normal price is 2-part gets expensive if you're dosing, 100 mil, a couple hundred mils a day. Like, that can add up a lot quicker. So that's kind of where calcium reactor is expensive up front. I mean, buying a CO2 tank is $100. The regular is $100. The reactor is a couple $100. Like, you're probably going to spend $400-600 up front. But once you have it, then it's really cheap, right? And to refill your tank is $30. Refill your meat is another $30. You're good for another 6 months to a year. So it's cheap ongoing, but expensive up front. Dosing, maybe your doser is $100, $200, so maybe you spend a little more upfront. But small tank, I like that. Precision, big one, I would start to say 300 gallons, I'd say calcium reactor. If you guys book flights or hotels in Las Vegas, Vegas is always better to do on Sundays. Drop me a 50%. Good to know. Thanks for the tip there, George. Hello all. Again to catch the end of the stream. Will reply while driving later. Sounds good, Draticat. 4 guys should do an episode 4 on nanos. Very well could. I would love to come one day. Definitely should, Vicky. Find a way, make her happen. Nanos, I will add that to the list for reefers. It's mighty convenient that a bunch of us just started nano tanks for the nano contest. Just filled my 20-pound CO2 tank. There you go, $23 US. I think it cost me 30 Canadian, the place where I filled mine. And that one lasted me probably close to a year. So it's really that, and then a thing of Carib CR media was about $30. So it's fairly inexpensive to maintain a calcium reactor. So that's where it really pays itself off. But it's just expensive upfront costs is kind of up to you and the size of your tank. ReefDudes, you thought about going to tidal gardens this summer. That would be cool to do. Again, if I can find a super cheap flight, yeah, sure. I get a decent amount of vacation days, so I mean, if the price is right. I mean, if it's like, there's no way I could justify like $800, $1,000 on a flight, but if I can find a flight for $200, then maybe it'd be fun to come out and meet some of you guys. So that's pretty much what it all boils down to. think I'm up to like what, $25 my super chat fund. Woo! Much appreciate you guys. That's probably going into Devin needs to get to Orlando fund. So I appreciate those super chats. It all goes back into either supporting the channel or something related to the channel and content. So appreciate you guys. Other fancy stuff. I bought this mic, which I'm loving, for off a classified site for $100 last week. And hopefully it's sounding really good. I think it sounds a lot better. My other ones seems more clear and a little more fulfilled and stuff. So I'm digging it. Vicky, try the Uber pool. You guys should try and come. Vicky, Eric, if you guys go, let me know. I don't know. I think it's I think one of the biggest things from going to one of these conferences will just be meeting up with everybody. Like, it'll be awesome to meet up with the guys I talk to online all the time. Guys and gals, so it should be good. Giving that passport a workout this year. Yeah, no kidding. This is last 3 years I've done like nothing. In the last few months, got married in Mexico and went to Disneyland. Now this is coming up, so it's been like crazy traveling. It's been nothing for years and years and years. So it's like one extreme to the other. But it's definitely good. Niger trigger reef safe. They are questionable. If you're going to do a triggerfish, I would recommend the blue jaw. They're probably one of the safest reef safe ones. That's the one in the background. You can see just above my head. Slow motion swimming by. They kind of like the blue jaw, and they got the yellow tip fins. Beautiful triggerfish. He's been absolute model citizen. No issues at all. So Death Maid, she says she has one. Hers is fine. They're hit or miss from what I hear. I have not had one personally. They're cool. They're very cool looking, but I know whether or not it's an issue is a toss-up. So Russian roulette. But then again, that goes for anything, right? Every fish is its own person, just like every single person. One person could be a nice guy, the next one could be a bugger. So it really depends. But in general, blue throats are better. The other triggers usually fine, but could be questionable. Has anyone used Reef Pi? Curious. Is that like the DIY controller? I have to quickly Google that. I think it's kind of like a bit of a DIY controller. I have made my own Reef Pi open base open source reef tank. I have not, although I did build a Raspberry Pi one before I had an Apex. At Crosshatch did work well for me. Excellent. If you look through my old videos, I had one where I used Arduino Nano. Or not a Nano, Arduino Mega. And I used that for control. It did like the temp, and then I put it inside of a DJ bar and it controlled all the outlets, and you could use it for timing and all that type of stuff. And it worked pretty well. I ended up trading it to a buddy when I got an Apex, but it worked pretty well for a while. Reef Pi looks kind of funky, little charts and stuff on it. The bigger thing for me is when I was looking at buying like the Atlas, there's like a pH and ORP, all those stamps and probes. All those stamps and probes was the same price it would have cost me to buy a used Apex. That came with those probes. And that's kind of when I ended up buying it. And I ended up selling and trading mine. Steph, awesome stream dev. Thanks for keeping Infamous and I awake on our road trip. P.S. Look up flights to Houston. We'll figure out something to meet up one day. And you are most welcome. And thank you for listening on your road trip. I'm glad I could be entertaining. All right, guys. She's back from the grave. We're hitting almost 2.5 hours, so I'm probably gonna call her quits soon, unless there's any other last minute questions or stuff from you guys. I think, and just a quick thing, if I ever miss any questions in the chat, like, no offense, just re-ask it again, because sometimes I get lost. If I'm on a topic, I don't want to interrupt somebody, and I'll go back and look through the chat later and try and scroll up and go through it. So sometimes I do miss them, so if I do miss your question, just please ask it again. Dev, I just tested Meg. It's at 1260. What's a safe amount to raise per day? 50 to 100. Yep, 50 to 100 should be fine. Magnesium is one of those funny things. It'll stay where it is for a long time, and then it'll drop. So you could, literally just add some. You'll be fine. I'd say 50 to 100 should be fine. Even 100 is probably okay. 1350 to 1450 is kind of the range I shoot for with mine. So hopefully that helps you, Eric. Ryan Gill, $5 super chat. Thank you for entertaining and informing us. You're most welcome. Thank you very much for hanging out, and thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. You are awesome, and thank you, Ryan. I would love to have an aquarium controller, but it's not logical for me to buy it anymore. I've acquired some independent controllers and monitors. I know it's super... Okay, so, Ryan, thank you. I love the fish jump. So on the controllers, it's nice to have it all in one interface, but you don't really need it. You know, there's an argument to be said at the same time for having independent controllers, right? If my Apex goes down, there goes all my controllers, right? Or if only one of yours goes down, you still have your independent controller. So there's an argument both ways. So, I mean, it's nice to have for remote monitoring, but all those independent systems are technically probably more reliable, so. Jerry, thanks for the info. You are most welcome, and thank you for hanging out with us. Drive safe stuff, definitely. JBJ, Orion, 120 LED strong enough. JBJ, Orion 120. I don't know what that fixture is, so let me quickly Google that and take a quick look. Marine Depot. What do they got? 24-inch fixture. Looks like they're using higher power LEDs from the 120 watt. I would say you're good for higher watt ones. Basically what I look at, if you're looking at some of the cheap LEDs, they use what's called SMD LEDs. And do I have that strip? If you like the strip of lights I use on like the Chato reactor, for instance, it's like a strip. They're little tiny LEDs. A lot of the cheaper lights will use a ton of those SM LEDs. And the thing is, they have light output, but they don't have the power or the penetration. So what you want is to make sure your lights have enough power or penetration power to go through the depthness of water. So sometimes you get away with the cheap lights on a small tank, but on a deeper tank, you want to make sure it has more juice, or like, you know, at least 1 water 3 watt LEDs in it. Now, ideally you want to look at what the par chart is for it. I try and shoot for that 250 to 350 range for SPS. So if you can find a par map on it, that's really the best way at whatever depth your tank is, and you'll get kind of a good general idea. So in my tank personally, I shoot for 100 par at the sand bed and that 250 to 350 range on the higher part for SPS. And I get that with all my lights running at around 45 to 55%. So it really depends on the fixture. Just looking, I can't find a par chart on it yet, but just looking at the light, it looks like they use higher watt LEDs, so I'm going to assume that you're fine. So let me just quickly see if we can find a par map. Yeah, so 2 to 300, so it looks a bit hotspotty, but in the 18-inch range, 2 to 300 par, the lighter blue 100 to 200. And that's on that one, 100, 230. I would say you're probably fine with that one. You should be okay. So you should be good. Did you ever decide who made the best test kits for calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium? So what I use, best is subjective. I prefer the alkalinity test kit from Hana. And then I use the calcium and mag for my Red Sea kit. I still use alkalinity from the Red Sea, but I use it as filler. But I stick to 90% of the time I use the Hana one is my go-to because it's quick and easy. But I use all 3 from Red Sea. So that's kind of my little group of them. Like to have an Apex just to go be able to see anywhere. I plan on getting a webcam. Yeah, a webcam would actually be cool too. That's one I've been debating for fun, is to have a webcam on my tank. Just check it remotely. I have been kind of on the hunt to try and find a cool underwater one. I think that'd be fun. And then maybe a little one for in the sump so you can check and make sure your skimmer's not overflowing. See if there's still liquid left in your dosing containers and all that jazz. But it'd be fun to do. If you ever get a chance, you go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I got a webcam. My girlfriend's mom bought her one for Christmas, and I was joking. I was like, well, we need to put it in the fish room. So you can buy in the fish tank. She goes, go ahead. So now I can monitor my fish tank at any time I want.
Bonus. I've been trying to find like a little tiny like pan tilt zoom one so you can just mount on the top and like zoom around and check out everything, make sure it's all good.
Yeah, this one is just the Amazon one for the Echo and all that.
Nice. It works pretty good. You like it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Pretty cool.
No, awesome. Yeah, that's on my future to-do list. I had a company who wanted me to like review some products that were like fish tank, and I messaged them back. I'm like, how about these IP cameras? So we'll see what they say. Hopefully it happens. It'd be kind of fun. I'm trying to
cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to only find stuff that's actually useful that I want. I'm like, I don't really want to do that if I don't need it. It's just a waste. So
yeah, let bigger companies that they have their own YouTube channels, like Bulk Resupply, always do the advertisements for all their gear. Like use the stuff that's going to be you want or would possibly use if you liked it.
Yeah, exactly right. Dalton saying check out the Beams LED. I will check that one out.
And here comes the lights again.
Yeah. Four Guys should also do an episode for lights anywhere from Pico to Nano. 2 flags and big tanks. I want 3. 1 electric. 523 George, $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, George. Much appreciated. Super happy. Fish is happy too. Really appreciate super chat. Thank you, buddy. Beams LEDs. Checking that one out. Those look like car LEDs. At least the ones showing up in Google Images. But yeah, I'll dig into the reefing side of that one later. George, thank you, buddy. Eric, you're welcome. Alright, hopefully, I think I caught all the questions. 4 guys, so you want one on Pico tanks and Nano tanks, and another one on big tanks, and you also want one, I see lights too. Okay, basically what we've been doing with 4 reefers is trying to pick like the basic topics and slowly getting more advanced, just so we're not throwing someone into like a calcium reactor on day 1 or something. So we're just trying to ease into it. But yeah, I'll definitely add those 2 to the list for future episodes. I think they'll be great. I'm having a lot of fun doing that. I think there's a lot of value when we have like the 4 different opinions all together. It's kind of cool to see if, 4 different, fairly decently experienced reefers and see how they do similar things. So I think it's a cool way to do it. So I have a lot of fun with it, and it's good to hear lots of you guys are enjoying it as well. Aquarium Cabot Solutions. What is going on, Nick? Nick, you're supposed to join at the beginning of the stream, not the end. Bubba. Great show. My opinion. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, guys. I think it's 5:30, 2.5 hours in. I think it's about that time. I gotta do some other stuff. As much fun as I do have hanging out with you guys. How do you get sponsored from these companies? Lately, people just contact me and say, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. It depends. I have a lot of people contact me, to be honest. It's one cool thing. So partially, it's kind of fun, right? It's cool to get some products, but at the same time, I don't really want to promote something unless I think it's a good product. Like, I don't want to... If someone offers me a product and I think it's garbage, like, there's no point doing it, because there's no way I'll feel good about talking it up, right? Or I don't want to come on here and some company, I'll feel bad, be like, oh yeah, this is garbage, right? So lots of people do approach you. I don't know why or how. Maybe it's more subscribers or who knows what. But I have lots of people offer me stuff. If it's something I actually need and I think it will be a good product, then I'll try it. Otherwise, some stuff I might just give it to a buddy or something. I give an honest review of those. Anything I give, 100% honest review. Like even the Coral Box doser. Like the doser is pretty cool. Instructions are absolute garbage. And I said that in my video. But it's on my Nano tank now. I mean, it's a definitely cool doser. I appreciate the Wi-Fi over having to sit there. It's a pain in the butt to program the Jabo. So the instructions are absolute garbage. The app's not the most intuitive, but it does the job once you figure out how to use it. So it's kind of one of those things with stuff. But Vicky Seymour, thank you for the great stream as always. Thank you, Vicky. Much appreciated. If you guys have any future topic requests for streams, let me know in the comments or the description of this one once it ends. Half the time I just make up something that day, or if someone asks me, if I get frequent questions, that leads into whatever my live stream is about. Sometimes it's random, sometimes it's off your guys' questions, but if there's anything you specifically want to know, let me know. The other good place is reefdudes.com/ask. I've kind of been slacking on that, but I'm going to start trying to work on more of those videos again and just make personal kind of shorter videos just for sometimes I like to throw in extra videos in the week once in a while. And those I'm going to try and do a little more often to answer your guys' question. So anything specific that you want a video response on, reefdudes.com/ask, and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out, guys. If you liked it, hit that like button. Makes me happy. And you guys, I really appreciate the super chats. It's going in, Devin's going to Reefapalooza fun, so much appreciated. And hopefully I'm going to shoot a lot of videos and make some cool stuff there. Never been to Reef Show, so I'm super excited for it. And definitely appreciate all you guys. Sorry, what was that?
I said reef shows are pretty fun. I went to the aquatic experience in Chicago, which is very small compared to like Reefapalooza, but it was still really fun.
Nice. Nope, that's awesome. Yep. Rap will be my first one, and then Mackinac will be my second. That's probably what I'll actually make this year, but those are two pretty big trips for me, so.
Oh, that's one of my goals, to make one of them in my lifetime before I die.
Yeah. Well, make it happen and let me know. Maybe we can meet up. That'd be fun.
Definitely.
Hey guys, Reefer Madness is streaming. There you go. If you guys still want your live stream fix, Reefer Madness. I don't know if Billy's watching. Billy, yes, I'll make you a video soon. Billy's doing a good giveaway, so check out Billy Pipes if you haven't done it. And otherwise, for videos, check those out. Have a question, reefdudes.com/ask. Thank you all for hanging out, and I shall see you guys on the next stream.
See you later, Devin.
Okay, thanks guys, see you later.